Well, hello and welcome back. Unfortunately, it seems that our stream had a bit of a food poisoning during the lunch break, but we are okay, at least. So
far, at least.
So far, at least. So apologies for that, but now we're back, and we have a lot of action coming up. War has broken out.
Yeah, and the game's finally ramping up here. So we are headed for maybe our most hectic hours here. The Germans have declared war on Poland, are moving in there. The Allies are joining in the fray.
Yeah.
And as soon as we start rolling, we're going to see a lot of things happen at once. We'll try to follow this as closely as we can. We'll try to make it understandable for you what's happening. We will have our expert Andreas trying to really pinpoint the naval battles and naval combat. But if we miss anything live, we apologize, but we'll try and recap as soon as we can.
Yeah, exactly. We'll try to get it all out in the open for you, so you can follow along here. But we are still paused, so I'm gonna take a moment to promote the Patreon, Hygge Gaming. If you want the save files from this game, if you want all the save files, or if you want the guides from games, you can join as a free trial member, which is for 7 days. You can become that, and then you will have access to everything in our Patreon. And if you're one of the first 6 to subscribe as a free patron today, you will get a free DLC of Trial of Allegiance. And if you already have that, you can always gift it to someone else. So that's a really nice and sweet deal. And I'm going to do a bit more of self-indulgent promotion. Have you enjoyed listening to me, Magnus, and Andreas today, guiding you through this? Do you like strategy games? Of course you do, otherwise you wouldn't be here. Then I would just plug this, the podcast, Fog of Warcast, that we 3 have together, which is a strategy game podcast where we talk about a lot of games. We talk about Hearts of Iron, we talk about Europa Universalis, Total War, RTS games like Command & Conquer, and so forth and so forth. We talk about mechanics, map making, economy guides. So check us out on Spotify if you want to, and have a listen. We would appreciate it a lot. You won't hear us ramble on for 10 hours and so, but around an hour each episode. So you're very welcome to listen to that if you want to hear more from me, Magnus, and Andreas on a more regular basis. So that's the shameless self-promotion for the day done. We're waiting for the game to kick off again and see what's going to happen. Probably since Poland is an AI Poland, we won't look as much into Poland. The interesting parts will come in France, in the Benelux, and we have the Winter War coming up in North Africa. It's a lot of things to unpack now after lunch.
So where we left off is, as I said, war has just been declared. We had an interview with the Soviet main seat, and we do think that it will be an interesting Eastern Front once we get there. We see that in this historical Hearts of Iron game, where we are now in August 1939, heading into the Second World War, we can see that the Soviets have gone for a very garrison-heavy build. So has the Germans, actually, but with a lot. Basically, they have done 3 things: air, garrisons, and armor divisions. And now, for the first time, we'll see these armor divisions actually square off. So if we go into the action here, we can see that they have some troops over in Poland to mop up. The Balkan countries are there.
Luxembourg is gone.
Luxembourg is gone, but we have a huge German armored push into...
Through Belgium.
Or huge. Where is the...
The armor is over there.
Oh, very far south, actually.
Yeah, he's very far south. It might be to pin French reinforcements.
But I think he could actually break through here.
It seems like he can break the Maginot. That would spell disaster for the French. Then it would be a very, very quick, very
so
quick
it's actually a 2-pronged assault.
Yeah, it is.
Here.
Through
and
Belgium.
We can see that even these are just AI Belgian divisions, but the I called these divisions crappy before. These are 16 with garrisons, but even they are able to push.
Yeah, they're pushing the Belgian AI.
And in less than 2 weeks, we have capitulated Luxembourg and the Netherlands.
Yeah, Netherlands gone.
And the Netherlands is the first player capped.
First player capped, but Erik is now moving over to the Dutch East Indies, where he has been building up, and his focus, I hope, would be to be the Dutch East Indies, because there's no way. The Netherlands
Very
holds.
expected.
Very expected. But we see some trade in the air war. It's not all great. It's quite a lot of red for the Allies. Ja.
Tips när vi har löst det är att vi är nära Frankrikes fall.
Yeah. Yeah. The air. I don't know if we're back. Maybe let us know. The video appeared to work. Yeah, now we're here. Okay, a video can fix anything. That's that's great.
So where we are is Air Poland is on its way to getting capped. This is not the priority for the Axis.
No.
What is the fall of France. We see that the French didn't try to defend
No.
The Netherlands. They broke into the Maginot Line, but
Yeah.
not through it.
No, but still an incline into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we see now that they're starting to push the French main defensive line here. I would not be. Let's check the air war. Yellow air for the Germans. Oh, the CAS is actually doing damage.
Yeah. Yeah, but we're back here, and thank you, Urban, Lil Tiger, and all of you guys pointing out we are back. It really helps us a lot knowing that we're back with sound. And Esteban, someone is conducting sabotage operations on the stream. Yeah, but at least we fixed the sabotages quickly this time. So
okay, so German CAS is doing heavy damage here. The Germans are trading very good in the air war over France.
Yeah.
This should be a cause of concern for Ian on the UK.
Yeah.
And we can see that the German tanks are breaking through the French line. This is not really unexpected. The French build is a garrison build.
It is.
I think we still have very little AT in these divisions. Let's check over just so I'm not fooling you.
Yeah, and he's breaking through.
8 piercing. It's basically not anything. They do have AA.
They do,
which is good now that they're trading badly in the air, but it's not a confident showing from the French divisions.
No, they are crumbling. This will be quite a quick France war. But then again, we have to see with Remmefors later on if this was the plan to kind of hold it for this. But it doesn't. They're not putting up much of a fight.
Now we can see that even the German garrison division seems to be. These are armored divisions, but they are able to just push through the French light tanks.
They are.
So that's the thing that Remmefors could have done potentially is let the Germans come in and then surround the armored spearheads.
But when they come through on this wide of a front, that's not much you can do.
It's getting steadily pushed back. We're now into October. I doubt that the French Republic will see the new year in.
Well, we'll see if
getting disturbing reports of defeatism from the French.
Yeah, but we also see we don't know even if we're gonna see the Italians even have to move in on.
No, and now we're up to the point where Remmefors is so wrong that he barely has time to micro his front lines at this point. Let's see if he's actually stuck up a front line. At this point, I'd say,
what's his surrender? Yeah, he's pulling back, but
the Germans also have collabs on the French.
But he pushed a tile forward. But then again, This is, it's not gonna matter that much that he pulled back. He 46,000 towards 42. So I mean, yeah.
And Paris is 2 days away from falling.
Yeah. And
see, we don't have the Italians in the war yet.
Yeah, no, Italians haven't gone in yet. They might not have to. So that's a lot of or when he comes in, that will be the final nail in the coffin for the French player, for Remmefors. But then again, he will live on and fight again as Free France in Africa. But then again, quite a easy war for and that's the fall of Paris. Quite an easy war for the Axis player and the German player here, I would say.
So far.
Not
taking heavy losses, pushing steadily back.
Yeah.
Remmefors is keeping his front lines together. Hard thing to do with a garrison build once the armor starts breaking through.
But he's doing that, and that's a good showing from him, actually, to have it in.
The Brits are contesting the air. They're actually...
They are, yeah. Yeah, they have their yellow air. Yeah.
They're getting up to yellow, trading
quite well. Could you maybe go to details on the air mode?
I could, but I won't.
Yes, sorry. If you go to details over there, and we could put it on months, we can see the trading. What has they happened? What have they lost? From here, the Germans lost a bit, but
Germans have lost 127. The versus
162
Allied.
Yeah, so they're trading quite evenly. A slight edge for the German, but
the Brits will also get up better and better planes.
Yeah, they will. So nothing to be stressed about for the UK. And we heard Ian say that, I probably won't trade that well in the beginning, but he will ramp up. And also we have the US coming in, which has a lot of air production.
And we are just days away from...
days away from
the fall of France.
Yeah. It's an okay showing from the French. I mean, they haven't collapsed with everything running. It will be into November 39. Quite a good showing. That's 3-4 months.
We are coming up on 3 months.
Yeah, coming up on 3. And that's basically what you can expect. Yeah. I mean,
Remmefors game has just begun. This encirclement in Paris isn't fun, or outside of Paris.
It's not. It's a lot of divisions that will get scrapped.
Because he will want to put up as good of a fight as possible, because that determines parts of how many divisions he will get with him when he caps.
Yeah.
So the longer he fights, the better for it. But we've had 2 games where the French have had a really good showing, but it was also with a lot more support from the UK.
Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah.
French capitulation, and I think we have
pictures. Yeah.
Going on.
Okay, vi har inte krigat också. Ja. Okay, we've seen what happened in France. And we also have some action on the Eastern Front. The Winter War has kicked off.
Yes, and the weird thing is Finland is moving his troops around.
Yeah, he is.
So he seems to be putting up one front line. Okay, he has no front line order on them at all. This is not good, because you want the entrenchment, you want the planning. You don't want your troops moving around.
No. And we heard Badger being concerned that how is he going to push in the Winter War. Yeah, well, he's pushing.
So good.
Yeah, also due to moving around from Finland.
But we can see here when even when they're winning, it takes time. So
it takes time, yeah.
But it's doing precisely the right thing. It seems that the Finns are just trying to push away without losing divisions. They can get us around here on the Soviet side if they push this.
Yeah, but
more efficiently.
Yeah, but also the important part for the Finns is not losing manpower here.
And there they lost Helsinki.
Yeah.
I think the Soviets might actually be able to win this one.
Yeah,
Let's look at the conditions for...
I think now with having Helsinki, but they might also want to kill Finnish troops.
I can't see the conditions here.
Yeah, but Yeah, this should probably be
We are
click and buff.
very close to a finish encirclement or an overrun here, and the
Yeah.
Finns really don't want to lose
No,
divisions in this war.
they
That
do
is
not.
catastrophic, considering their
It's-
low manpower.
Yeah, because it's equipment, it's manpower, and this could be
Thankfully for the Finns,
they get out.
the Soviets aren't that.
What's the
effective.
what's the casualty rates in this war? It's 427
Yeah,
against
so the Finns are
12,000.
trading. I mean, this isn't a huge amounts of manpower, but you don't want to be trading negatively.
No,
as Finland.
But they are going to lose this, and well, it kind of. But it kind of answered
Yeah,
the
pin them,
question.
Soviets, pin them.
Yeah,
you
pin
want
them and
these
move.
divisions to.
He wants them, and
We could see better micro from the Soviets.
yeah, we could. But then again, he was worried.
He's letting all of these. He's just following after, which is weird.
Yeah, but he was also worried. Am I even going to be able to push them? And yeah, he's
Yeah, but the
pushing
Finns
them.
have basically never stopped to fight. I
No,
don't know
they're
if we
moving.
missed something in
They're
the
just-
beginning here, but the Finns have been running away for the whole Winter War.
They're just moving.
And now the Soviets are starting paying that.
Yeah.
Move around, encircle.
Circle. Yeah, and good morning, Soliv, who just joined us on Twitch. But yeah, or good afternoon in our case.
I'm not sure that there's.
Yeah, but here they can get the
Someone
yeah,
on the Soviet side has been bribed, I'm sure. Like,
yeah.
there we have an
the first
encirclement of
round.
Finns.
Yeah, and it's 3
This means
divisions.
less-
Yeah. There they go, popping up.
This, I would say, we're moving into a disastrous Winter War for the Finns.
Yeah, what casualties are they up to now? They're up to
33,000.
33,000. And equipment going in that.
Also trained divisions.
Yeah.
So that's the Winter War for you.
That's the Winter War
And
for
we're
you.
moving straight on to.
Yeah, we're moving straight on.
Ryssä. Perkele. Joo. 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 Kyllä. Kyllä.
Yeah,
Disturbing sights from Finland there.
disturbing images.
And might explain some of the very poor showing from
Yeah.
the Finns there. Another explanation for the Finnish showing might be that Simon had.
Yeah, he didn't have that much time to prepare.
Well, 24 hours is a
Yeah.
bit.
It's a bit on the short.
It's on the short side.
It is. But it is also, we hear from chat, it's authentic images that we get from Finland. Yeah.
Authentic and disturbing, as with many images from Finland.
Yeah. But here, things are starting to heat up down in North Africa. The Italians are on the move.
The Italians are on the move. I think they're pushing up slowly with these Legion templates. These are 30 with infantry, a lot of artillery, some anti-tank, decent, frontline divisions.
Yeah.
Pushing up towards Alamein, really, I think, just to scout what's there, see what's
Yeah.
happening. They have quite a conservative hold over
They
here.
are. It's a defensive hold, yeah.
Yeah, I think that the goal here is to let's not loot divisions in North Africa because the German armor is waiting. The Italians have maintained a defensive line between Derna and south of
Yeah.
Benghazi.
Yeah, and also apparently China is also somewhat wrapped up and done here. Yeah,
Completely wrapped up and done, I would say.
completely wrapped up and done here.
Which means the Japanese will now go into a period of regrowth here and
Yeah.
strengthen up their divisions, getting planes out, strengthening their fleet, and we do think that they're going for a mid to late war in the Pacific, which
Yeah.
means that they won't be doing anything for at least 18 months in game.
No, they will keep a hold of that.
What the Italians probably will be doing down here is, as you see, they are building more infrastructure. We're seeing the Canadian divisions coming out.
Yeah, and how are the Canadian divisions? Are there medium tanks in them now, or are they still light
Let's check this out
Let's
before
check
things really heat up. And
in North Africa?
these are still light tank divisions.
Still light tank divisions.
And
Okay,
I do not think.
but they're pushing Italians.
They are still. What they are is building the Stuart Kangaroo we talked about, where
Yeah.
this
The
very, very good Canadian mechanized equipment.
It is good. It is good. So he will, as the game progresses, he will transition in to mechanized. Maybe it's just building a surplus of things. To use.
And as we said, apart from that, we have South African armor divisions.
Yep.
Here we see the Indians just mopping
Yeah,
up
mopping up
Ethiopia. It
Ethiopia.
doesn't seem like Italy kept any troops down there.
No.
Not a shocker either. It's a fun gambit. But we said that we didn't think that the South Africans would be ready
No, on time.
on time.
They're not.
They're not.
Nope.
They have too few heavy tanks to fill up their
Yeah, they're
divisions.
And one of them is not trained. But how does the division look? Yeah, it's a bog standard.
bog standard
Yep.
heavy tank. Very low piercing though.
Yeah.
This might be because they have old equipment in it.
Yeah, but they are still one of the best fielded tanks as of now.
Actually, let's compare
see.
that a bit to the Germans.
Yep.
The Germans.
Yep.
High on soft attack, high on hard attack. I mean, these are good. The problem is when they're not fully equipped,
Yeah. You don't.
all the stats
yeah,
drop.
All the stats
and
drop.
he has them in Egypt, but they are training. So
Yeah.
if we should see an early German push here,
Yeah.
that would not be fun for the Allies. I do now think that the Axis should try and be more aggressive down here. They might be waiting just for the Italians and everybody else to build up.
Yeah, but then again, we also have the advantage of knowing in both cases, and I can understand the Axis playing kind of slow. They have to get tanks over, but an aggressive push here. If you catch the Canadian tanks outside of El Alamein, pin them down, go around them. I mean, that would be a disaster.
What they are doing, yeah, we can see here.
Yep.
Marsa Matruh to Bardia.
Yeah.
They are
Building
connecting
railroads,
up
yep.
these
Connecting,
railroads. I think they might want a supply hub in there as well. Yeah, we
Yeah.
can see supply hub in Matruh.
Yeah, they're pretty standard North African campaign.
So once that's finished, we'll see them moving in, and we can now see the first German tanks slowly moving up.
Yeah.
Pinging there from the Axis team.
Yep.
How are we looking on the Navy side? Andreas, have you seen anything interesting on that side?
Well, yes, a bunch. So, as we covered previously, Japan is still going for more and more super heavies, and they're also building carriers right now. If you look at the fleet they have a bunch of, let's see if I can declutter my screen, but they have a bunch of really bad submarines, which they are refitting into fairly well armed submarines. This mirrors sort of the United States, who have a raiding fleet with slightly fewer submarines with minimal armaments. So Japan is probably stronger than the US on subs. While Japan is doing carriers and the super heavies, the United States are mostly doing heavies, and they supplement it with a lot of destroyers and a few not a few carriers, sorry, a few cruisers. So a lot of heavy ships and cruisers. They're also going for a bunch of battleships forces with, well, essentially even more cruisers. So it looks like Japan has the slightly more elite and slightly more varied build on the seas currently. But if you just look at sheer numbers, the reserve fleet, which is the Pacific fleet for the United States, is about 200 ships. Whereas if you go down and look at, if you look at Japan, it is still slightly smaller. So they're shitting around with their escort fleet of about 100 destroyers, and then they just still have somewhere in the mid 20s of proper big ships, as well as 5 super heavies. So the United States has numbers, they have the amount of factories, they're producing more, but Japan has the better ships when they actually have them.
Thank you for that report in here, and that also answers Matteo Schul's question about can we see the Japan progress in China. Well, that's wrapped up, and also how they compared Navy versus US. So thank you so much for that, Andreas.
Getting back to the action in Europe, and maybe we can ask you, Andreas, to keep at least one eye on Navy actions in the Mediterranean so that we don't miss anything. We see that the Italians are preparing naval invasions on Malta.
Yeah.
I don't think that will be
I don't
strong
think
anytime
they will
soon.
break
We didn't
that.
see an early push towards Gibraltar, and they're playing quite conservatively down in North Africa.
Yeah, they
they're
are.
still building up.
Yep, they're fixing the infrastructure and the supplies.
But if they are going to push, which I I do think they.
I think Gidon is gonna want to push this.
Yeah, we can see, and now they are pushing.
Yep, they are pushing, and here they come.
Which, you know, unsupported tanks.
Yeah, but they're still
on that.
holding the counter push. But that's just infantry counter pushing. Yeah. But he's leaving.
They push
Yeah.
the Germans out of this tile here. They don't want them standing on that, getting their planning up.
No.
What you might want to see in a perfect world here is some kind of concerted naval action from the Axis.
Yeah.
The Balkan Rose cleaning up Yugoslavia and Greece, and then pushing for Crete, for Cyprus, starting to, so that they can at least threaten the string of ports on the Mediterranean. The Vichy French are now neutral. This is out of the game for them, but if you're struggling to break through El Alamein, it can help to
Yep.
put a naval invasion or two on Tel Aviv, Port Said. And we can see that these are actually not that well defended.
No, it's not.
30 width,
Yeah,
infantry divisions, but
but
any kind of naval force should be able to push this out.
yeah, a good special forces Marines with a good combo will push that. But then again, I don't really know what the Balkan Bros have in terms of equipment and in manpower right now.
And we can say that the Italians haven't invested into Marines
They
either.
haven't. They haven't.
And I have some kind of bug, so I can't see the
You can't really
doctrine.
see that. No. But then again, they haven't invested into that. They don't.
Because
at
by
least-
now it is a decent El Alamein defense.
Yeah.
I'm still bugged out about these South African tanks not being fully equipped.
Yep.
This means that, you know, the stats drop considerably.
Significantly. Yep. And that is always a problem when you don't have fully equipped divisions, because you can look at the template and say this is a good template, but if it's not fully equipped, you won't get the numbers.
We can see that the UK is so confident that he hasn't asked for any more port
No.
garrisons here. He's told the Indians, get into the line on
Yeah.
Fort Line on El Alamein. And I'm guessing that the Axis just said, okay, we're not going to spend too much forces
But
on.
then again, also
breaking into this.
Norway has fallen.
Yes,
Yeah.
I noticed and forgot.
Yeah, but Norway is gone, unfortunately, for the Norwegian. We also have a quick question here. Maybe we can have a check with that. Japan, are they building naval bombers in this? We have a question from chat. And also FN chats for Norway. That was sad for them.
And the Germans are moving out U-boats into the Atlantic.
Yeah. And to answer your question, Lil Tiger, they are building naval bombers, but a few so far, and they're not producing anymore. But they have some naval bombers in here.
What bugs me about North Africa is if you're going to do something, you might want to do it,
No.
you know, sooner rather than later, because
Yeah.
you're on the clock.
Yes.
The Germans will be wanting to start Barb.
Yeah, they want to.
And they should in 1941.
Yeah, because the earlier the Barb, you might not be ready. But then again, the more time the Soviets get, the bigger they will be, and the harder they will be to crack. And I think that Badger is just happy to get even more meat on the line on this org wall that it's gonna face. But do you think maybe that Badger might have? How confident will he feel after the Winter War against Finland?
Well, you know, not less confident.
No. But he wasn't that confident when we started.
No, sadly, I don't think it gave him that much data because he didn't know if it was going to be able to push.
No.
Turns out he barely had to push.
Yeah, because the Finns moved.
ran away.
They moved. So if they don't have entrenchment, they don't move. But we actually have this. Andreas, you had some thoughts and pointers on Finland. So if we go back to there, and we might break in here if something happens in El Alamein, but Finland, Andreas.
Yes, so a major reason which we had a hard time covering because it was going so fast that Finland fell so easily and why they didn't put up a resistance was actually that they didn't really have an army. So they had two types of divisions on the field. One of them were essentially a six-widder, which is, I think, still technically illegal in these games, and it could not resist anything. The other one, the ones with the wolf head, were actually only 16 widders without artillery. So they essentially just had manpowers on the line. So obviously they didn't want to take a confrontation because they would just be shelled to hell, so to speak. So I presume that Finland, for some reason, either failed to put out an army. I don't think so. They still have equipment in the stockpile. So for some reason, they opted to not actually defend at all. This was a choice. And it also makes them kind of fast-moving and slippery to pin down to some extent because they don't have a lot of equipment. So I think that is what happened.
Yeah, probably what happened, and thank you for a good analysis as always, Andreas. It's really nice to have someone that can take an extra look at things. We are as of now paused for some reason. We're trying to deduce why, but not that big of a showing in North Africa yet. Yeah.
No, nothing at all. Is it because of a crash we're paused, or why are
Yeah,
we?
I've tried to check that and see why we're paused and get some answers to that. But it might be that someone is going to hot join or we have had a crash. We'll see. But that gives us some time to unpack what has happened so far.
And I'm having a look at German armor production. As I said before, they are still producing the assault gun Panzer IV, but they are also trying to get in more of tank destroyers and just regular combat tanks.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, and now we have the hot join.
Yeah.
But so far, good showing for the Axis. I'm a bit surprised that they just stopped at this point. They should be cleaning up the Balkans. They should be at least, stressing the Allies out by making some kind of moves towards El Alamein.
Yeah. But I've actually heard this, that we've actually have live images of the Canadians preparing and going to war.
Yeah. The Canadians are mobilizing.
The Canadians are mobilizing.
Fantastic.
Indeed. So we're gonna go over there. Yeah, disturbing images of the Canadians mobilizing, but they seem determined.
Fierce-looking Canadian tankers there.
Yeah, very fierce-looking. And we actually have here, when we now pause, we have Pranshana Jackson who has come in. How often do you guys host games? And every Sunday? I love the cast. Congrats. Thank you, Pranshana. We love to have you here, and we cast games every 6 weeks, give or take. This is the 5th game during 2025, so around once a month we're having this. But
we could explain about the community. So we're a community of, I was about to say a bunch of guys. We are like 100 guys.
Yeah.
But not everyone plays every time. It's when we can. Most guys are working. A lot of them have kids.
Yep.
We're not just guys, we're a couple of gals as well.
Yep.
But people between, say, 25 and 40.
Yep. Yep. And I mean, it's a great community. And when we play, we cast it here and we try to announce it beforehand when we play. But also everything leading up to this, we have these kind of casts, which are really, really fun to do because it's basically hanging with your mates, either playing or hanging with your mates, talking about other people playing. But then we have the live events, which are a bit bigger, where we get together for real in real life and play together down in Falkenberg, called Bergagård, which we have once a year, and that is coming up soon. It's gonna be in the autumn this time. Where we're going to play it. So tune in for that when it comes. But also keep a lookout, because on YouTube we will always post a bit beforehand when a new game is playing. An easy way to not miss any action or miss any game is click the little subscribe bell and turn on notifications. You will never miss it. And sometimes it's me and Magnus and Andreas casting. Usually it's Petey and Victor sitting in these chairs. But Petey is now on the Eastern Front, and Victor, is...
It's so drastic when you say Petey is now on the Eastern Front.
Yes, we were not happy with the last
performance. We were not happy with his performance.
No, we were very, very happy with that. But Petey wanted to play, and who can blame him? It's fun to play on the Eastern Front.
It's no fun in Stalingrad, no.
Well, it can be fun in Stalingrad, depending on who you are. But we are re-hosting, as I see now, from a crash. So we're coming up here. But I would have imagined, when we left off here, I would have imagined a more active and offensive Axis in North Africa. I mean, this suits the Allies fine, because they know that the Axis are on the clock. because they need to do Barb.
Yeah.
So they can just wait until the German tanks leave.
Yeah, I think the Allies are perfectly happy just to sit this one out.
Yeah.
Just wait for it. And I mean, it's not disastrous for the Axis if they don't take Egypt. They have a very strong Italian defense in the rest of North Africa. They can slow the Allies down there. But
Yeah.
considering they had a pretty quick war against France, very quick capitulation there.
Not that many losses.
No, they have, decent numbers in the air. They have Italian infrastructure. They have an advantage in tanks. I do think they should be pushing North Africa more. We'll have to have a look at the air game and see if that's what's holding them back, because we haven't checked that out yet.
It could be. Or it could also be the fact that they feel that, I don't know, we have to check the Balkan Bros. Maybe they feel that they don't have the special forces to do naval invasions and such and put pressure on the Allies. That way they have to push through main. But we will check when we get
They'll
back
need
in.
to sort out the Balkans as well. They haven't taken Yugoslavia yet. They haven't taken Greece yet, but these are AI nations. The Balkan Bros should be able to handle this pretty much on their own.
Yeah, Hungary,
And
Bulgaria.
even if you don't have Marines, just put some naval invasions up on the ports.
Yeah. Yep.
The UK might get spooked. I mean, they're not going to just sit there with 2 garrison divisions on the ports if they know that there are naval invasions coming.
And it's also the most terrifying sound you can have in Hearts of Iron 4. It's that naval invasion sound going off, and you have to try and localize where is it, how big is it, what do I have to do, and then you take your eyes away from more important things. So, but we'll see what will happen here when we get back in game. And Prashana, no worries. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask them, and we'll try to answer them as quickly as we can. And also, I like that a lot of the people in chat has taken the lumberjack reference in the Canadian movie. Yeah, love you guys.
What reference is that?
No, he was a exactly. Exactly. We take it there. No other comparison in that. But yeah, we'll see what happens when we get back. But we also have Japan. We have to check them. Are they going early, mid, or late? Because they did a quick China war. It was a good China war for them.
We'll swing by the Japanese, but for now, the Japanese are
not the most.
It shouldn't be the most interesting thing going on. We should have, by this point, huge naval battles in the Mediterranean. We should have
pushing back and forth in North Africa. But since we don't have that, we will check in on
Seems
Japanese.
like we have a very conservative group of players today.
Yes.
Not too many chances.
No.
Yeah. Let's hope it changes on the Eastern Front.
I hope it will change on the Eastern Front. Yes. I mean, Eastern Front, there's where the action happens, so to speak.
Maybe we should, when we get back into the game, have a bit of a look on the Balkan countries as well to see if they have gotten any more divisions out, see which way they're heading. We won't be seeing a lot of armor divisions from the Balkan countries. We'll see German armor on the Axis side.
I think we're going to do it like this. We're going to take a look at the Balkan countries, and I'm going to pass it on to Andreas to maybe have a look on Japan, seeing what focuses they're moving towards, if we can get any inclination, if it's going to be a mid or late war in this, as soon as we get back into the action. But as of now, we're playing Lobby Simulator, and kind of fine with that. I mean, it's not less action than it was on the North African front, basically.
We're a bit disappointed in North Africa so far.
Yeah, so far. I had higher hopes with France falling fast.
Well, it is still just April 1940. They have almost a year to make something happen in North Africa. I'm guessing the Italians will at least try and clear out Malta and some of the islands. Maybe go for. They would love to get rid of Gibraltar.
If they get Gibraltar,
but I don't think we're going to see any concerted push against Gibraltar until the Spanish join.
No, exactly. That would be. They would probably hold that. They'll probably hold it for that. I'm gonna pass this from here to there. Thank you. Teamwork. That's what we're working for here. Thank you so much.
But if anyone has any questions in the chat, this is a perfect opportunity for us to answer them. Otherwise,
we're just gonna continue with speaking. But
we're here all day, folks.
We're here all day.
But we have seen, just to recap so far what's happened. Poland, nothing interesting. We had an IAEA Poland. Poland's out of the game. We won't be talking anything about Poland from this point on. France, quick fall, not that not that surprising. That's what usually happens. The
Yeah.
outliers have been the last few games where we've seen a really
Yeah.
strong, concerted effort to
the last
defend
two,
France.
the last 2 games.
Yeah.
We've seen it.
We will now see Remmefors and France going over into reconsolidation mode, and once he's gotten the trains for it and the logistical resources for it, he will be managing some UK troops so that our single seat UK player can focus on Navy and Air.
Yeah. And I'm getting now in another chat asking if everyone's ready. So yeah, here we go again with loading graphics, and we're getting back up. This is lovely. We'll see. You might see our
Coffee for the
co-host
studio.
here coming in. Thank you so much. This is lovely. As Swedes, we're out drunk by the Finns in terms of coffee, but coffee is stapleware in any Swedish society. We actually have a question here from Pranshana again. How many co-ops for Germany and Soviets during BAR? The Germans are 2 players. It's Gidon on who's the main, and Thomas who has played a lot of second seed Germany. So there's 2 German players and there's 3 Soviet players and 1 on Mongolia. So 3 versus 2, and you can see them on screen here when they come up. And also a recap on Spain and China from Soliv. Well, China fell. The Japanese did a good China war, so good that we actually kind of missed it when it fell. And Spain, a good, solid, quite quick Spain from the Axis. But then again, the Allies did not lose any troops. France and the Soviet Union got out with it. But it gave Seth, who's playing Spain, more time to prepare and build up his country. And here they're clicking out Italian infantry as they move in.
Yes, but they're leaving the German
Yeah, they're leaving the German
tanks, and
tanks.
this is good for Germany if they
And
can build it up.
Soviet Union has
Let's
just claimed.
Swing by and see how the air war is going here.
Yeah, not particular.
So the Brits are trading a lot better over Egypt. We have about a ratio of 2 to 3. So 120 German fighters lost
And
80 British.
Yeah.
And I can't seem to get...
Yeah, but the interesting part here is also Germany is losing bombers to this and has the disruption of bombers. So they're trying to bomb out the forts of El Alamein to try and push, because those are big forts. Big forts. Let's go. And there's a lot of striking.
So this is a question if the Germans can get enough air
to start
support to really start bombing the forts down. I am not convinced of that. And since it seems that they are going very heavily for...
They need naval invasions. They need to...
they need something.
Yeah.
Naval invasions would have been one thing, because we can see that they're starting to...
Yeah, but they're also...
Up, but
they're also getting clicked out when they come in.
I mean, a decent naval invasion on Port Said right now would change everything in a heartbeat.
Yeah, it would. Getting in there, rushing down towards the Suez, cutting it in half. That
the
would be...
Barbarossa don't seem to be overly stressed about taking out Yugoslavia.
I think we're waiting for the Italians to go.
There we go.
Claims on Yugoslavia. And what do they have in terms of troop, the Balkan Bros? They have...
So, if we start with the Hungarians...
No.
It's a mixed bunch.
It's a mixed bunch.
Some 30 with... heavy artillery.
Heavy
We haven't seen
motorized.
heavy motorized artillery in a long while.
I haven't. I think it's 2-3
Check the
years
stats
ago.
on this.
Oh, that...
400 soft attack, that's decent.
Yeah. But it's a lot of fuel usage for them to get up. But
yeah, but considering they usually do armor divisions.
Yeah. But they're also quite quick. 3, and motorized infantry in those.
This is competent infantry divisions. Not something you really want to push a lot of main, but could be really fun on the Eastern Front. There's not lots of it, but some. And considering this is matched up with a Germany build, which is garrisons and armor and pretty much nothing in between, this isn't halfway bad. The Romanians are going for bog standard infantry, 30 width.
Yeah, I'm gonna also when you look through this, I'm gonna take some questions from the chat.
Absolutely.
John Brothers, I've never seen the Axis win. What are the types of events that indicate to you that the Axis is doing well? Well, as of now, they've done a quick France war, quick cleanup there. Not that many losses, no rounds. Then again, they're all slow in North Africa, but they started quite well. The deciding factor for us, I think, is to see how they perform on the Eastern Front and how they handle what Ian, as the UK, wanted, a quick D-Day to relieve pressure. I think those are the deciding factors for this. But then again, during 2025, we've had 4 games. This is the 5th. Axis has just 1 win in that. Allies has 3, and they have 2 back-to-back. And to answer Massimo Serra, who asked if this is vanilla or modded, it is a mod, as John Brothers has already pointed out in chat, but it's a version of the Bokoan gangs, their finest bra. And now we're starting to see, yeah, things are getting bombed out down in North Africa.
Completely.
Yeah. And apparently our chat is pro-Italian by color choice we get from our Twitch chat. And yeah, green, red, and white. So, but yeah, this shouldn't be the case. It shouldn't be the Allies bombing the Axis in North Africa and bombing them out.
No. And we said that the Germans haven't gone that hard into air.
No.
Neither have the Brits, to
No.
be honest.
But they do have those. And we have...
But I think the Axis pulled back. They seem to be...
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they're not happy, but they seem to be
well, you can
content
yeah, but you can also...
to not push hard against...
And you can also have this... I remember sometimes when we played in North Africa, you can have some overeager players that go, okay, let's push them, let's push them, let's push them. And then you get cornered, encircled, surrounded, killed. So I think Ian is probably playing quite a hard game of, no, hold here. Because the Allies are not on the timer here. Do we know if Germany went autarky? Because then they are...
Yes.
They did. Because then they are pretty much on the clock. Because they have an economy of conquest. They need those resources. They need... they've done. They need the resources. Otherwise, their consumer goods are going to start and tick up and tick up and tick up. Until they reach, I think it's a maximum of 100%, and it's hard to produce anything when you're 100% consumer goods. So, yeah. And we have some sea battle information south of Italy. So maybe we can check that out and see what that is. Yeah, I think it's convoys.
Yeah,
convoy raiding. Yeah. So that's what it is, to see that.
And the mop-up of Yugoslavia here. There they have capitulated. Now they have to mop up, or will want to mop up Greece.
Yeah, maybe it also clear out some of the territory of Yugoslavia. I think Romania needs something, and Hungary needs something, and Bulgaria needs something. But they will mop up Greece pretty soon.
Interestingly, Hungary actually needs this region, Burgenland, to go Greater Hungary.
Yeah, maybe they'll get it later on, but who knows? We'll see.
But so far, we were hoping for a more, fast-paced war in North Africa.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, as not much is happening in North Africa now, I wanted to check over with Andreas to see what have you spotted in your corners of the world. So, Andreas, take it away.
Well, first of all, Japan is going for the long war. Both the focus and the fact that they're currently actually retooling their factories and has been doing so for at least 10 minutes. So they don't go for any quick war focuses, and they are also, if you look at my screen here, they are also still exercising most of their navies. A small part of them are operating, it's the raiding fleets, and the submarines are operating in South China Sea, but the rest of them are still training. They have orders to get out, and they are prepping for island hopping. And they have taken a bunch of tiny islands, but it's still a long war, and they haven't really had any major contacts with the United States. So Yeah, long and slow, and they have been pinging for a bit for a fairly drawn back line against India. And if you go over and look at what is happening in India, you can see that, well, there isn't that much people on the front line. So Japan could probably have gone early and been successful, but they're going to miss a chance for, well, for a free India rather than freeing India, so to speak.
Like the wordplay. Thank you so much, Andreas. Yeah, but then again, we kind of see this from stationary a lot of times. He's not really the one rushing into an early war. We also have a question here that I want to direct towards you, Magnus. And it's what mate, love the name, what mate, would you consider autarky to be the superior choice in multiplayer games like these?
Generally, yeah. What you do is when I play single player, I never go autarky. It's just a hassle. But when I play single player, I'm painting the map. Here you hope to paint the map, but it's rare that you get to do it.
Yeah.
I played Germany 2 games ago.
Yep.
And I actually didn't go autarky because when I looked at it in 1939, when you go to war, when I checked it out, and bear with me, I'm not one of the guys sitting with Excel sheets, but when I did some dry runs on it, autarky wasn't much better than prioritizing economic growth. I mean, the slow and steady pace. You pretty much got out the same number of divisions, the same number of factories heading into war, and I figured that, okay, and once I get to war, I mean, as long as it goes decent, I'm going to still be an economic powerhouse. And you have some good buffs down towards the end of the non-autarky tree, but you balloon a lot more. You have fantastic bonus for factory output, for production efficiency, and so on and so forth. The thing is that you really need to conquer territory and you need to control resources. And we can look at...
But when you get that autarky achieved, it is massive.
Yeah. Then you replace economy of consort with Wirtschaftswunder. And I should say that it is stronger, but it also puts you a bit more on the spot.
Yeah.
If you fail hard.
Oh yeah, you fail really. And India first now joined the Allies, apparently. We got a pop-up from
it's because they became independent.
They became independent and went back. So
yeah. But they have also figured out, I should think, that Japan's not coming. So they're keeping troops in North Africa, which means that now we're starting to see a really decent fortress Egypt.
Yeah. But we could all actually look at the Indian divisions because they're elephants, right?
They have elephant divisions. I pulled these up while Andreas was talking, and we can see that we have elephantry here. I'm not sure that I would put an elephant up against a panzer tank, but
then again, we wouldn't put horses in Papua New Guinea either. So
the game does weird things sometimes. And I think that I haven't met anyone that saw these Indian elephant divisions and went, oh no, elephant divisions. Everyone has been precisely like our India player. Elephants! In all
exactly.
caps.
But I mean, I kind of like the idea of elephants. The elephants have also in this mod been somewhat nerfed from what they were in the beginning, but they're still good divisions.
These are very decent divisions.
Yeah, they are. Like good amount of soft attack.
High soft attack for I mean, because it counts as infantry.
Yeah, which is, sure, sure. That's infantry for you. And also, yes, I agree with Swaliv. Puke green India. It's not the best of colors. No, it's really not.
I'm still questioning these divisions. Do you mind having a look at the rule set? I think this is a rule break.
There might be. Maybe I can ask Andreas to have a quick look at the rule set over here and see.
Indian divisions with more artillery than infantry.
Yeah, I had a quick look before, and I think they're legal, but I don't know. I have. Then again, I haven't checked that thoroughly, so I'm gonna ask Andreas to do it.
But we can now see that Australia seems to have shifted away from their cavalry divisions.
Yeah, they've gone up to some kind of garrison division here. Yeah.
So for everyone that really liked the Australian New Guinea cavalry, I'm sad to disappoint you, but they've gone back to garrisons.
Yeah.
You can see the Dutchies and Israel are starting to fort up.
Yeah, but I think something interesting with those Australian divisions, because at first glance you might look at it and ask, why do they have AT in them since Japan doesn't have tanks? No, but Japan would probably come with Amtraks as landing divisions, and then the piercing matters. So I think that's a pretty good and decent garrison division.
Yeah, and we can see Amtrak divisions in this mod becoming real steamrollers.
Yeah,
I mean,
they can.
nigh on impossible to defend against. So
Yeah.
really good. Slows it up, pierces. It's not fantastic piercing, but
It's still
29 should be enough to really
yeah.
put a spanner in the works
But-
of a Japanese Amtrak division.
Yeah, and here war against Greece has kicked off. Should probably be a walk in the park for the Axis to clean this up.
I haven't noted any big naval engagement. We have some German raiding in the Atlantic.
Yeah.
Let's check if Italy still has its navy.
Yeah.
Seems like it.
Yeah. Yeah, and as Soliv says, bye-bye Greece. Yeah, in a matter of time, it will be bye-bye Greece.
Yeah, you can hover over the F key.
Yeah.
We don't have a player on Greece,
So-
so we were counting on this.
Yeah, we were really...
Even when we have Greek players or Greece players.
Yeah, but it's kind of a shame that we don't have any Polish or Greek players, because they get quite interesting focus tree after the cap.
Yes.
Yeah, you can do a lot of damage with
And
them.
adds a lot of flavor to the game, having those kind of minor
Yeah,
nations.
especially, I mean, I'm partial for Poland myself, but just looking at, you can go so many ways. You can go and air Poland and get a lot of fighters and so forth. And I'm not saying that just because Andreas is sitting in the other chair, and I kind of coached him with Poland last time. But those countries are really fun because, you know, oh, I'm gonna cap. And then my game starts.
Yeah.
What do I want to do? And you can always be this little jack in the box. Nobody really knows. Nobody expects the Polish Air Force, but then you roll up with 1,100 heavy fighters, and that's quite good. What is Siam doing here?
Mixing pack and regular anti-tank, which is
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, it is.
I've never seen anyone build pack AT in our
No,
games.
I haven't either.
I'm not sure what the real benefit of that is, but if we find it out, we will get back to you.
Yep.
I can't really not see the point of mixing pack and regular. It might be that he's shifting the one for the other.
Yeah, that it doesn't have it all studied out yet. But I do want to go back to Andreas here and see, because he's been checking things.
Yes, so I have been checking the rule set, and we currently have a rule that goes as follow. You are not allowed to have more artillery battalions, that is anything from the artillery tab, than the combined infantry, mobile or armored battalions in a division. So clearly illegal.
Yeah.
You're in for a spanking.
They are. You sounded too happy about that possibility, but yes. I think that.
Yeah, I don't want to grass anyone up,
Nah.
but maybe we should notify someone.
Yeah, maybe.
It's sort of cancelled out by the rule break from Finland earlier on.
Yeah. But then again, we have a lot of rules in our community. But we also got what Mate is back with. Thank you for the answer. On a side note, the Japanese going late war could definitely be a factor that would lead to the loss of Italian North Africa, assuming Alamein is not broken by the Germans. Yes, completely agree. Completely agree with that. Because now the Allies, they can focus their whole attention on North Africa and just sitting there building up, being kind of this fortress Africa. Yeah.
Absolutely. And what will happen if they don't try anything, and I should say that if they want to try anything in North Africa, they should do it within the next couple of or 3 months.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it gets too close to Barb. It wrecks the German plans there. And if they're not going to do anything, just leave.
Yeah, there's no reason to be there if you're not doing anything.
And I mean, it's not a disaster for the Italians to lose North Africa either. The point of holding North Africa is just basically slowing up the other side. If you take it as the Axis, yes, you get some benefits. You can choke off the El Alamein, but most Allied, I mean, no Allied trade is going to go through the Mediterranean at this point. They still have Gibraltar. You might take some oil over in Baghdad, which is nice, having those resources on your team.
Especially if you go for autarky.
Especially if you go for autarky.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's not game-altering factors. And the Italians have built a very good defensive line here in North Africa. This is going to take ages for the Allies to clear out. And actually, there's a hidden trap in this, is that the Allies feel that, yeah, we want North Africa. Now we just have to clear the Italians out. This could take months because they need to move up. They need to build infrastructure. They'll probably need to place a supply hub somewhere around here. The Italians have a supply hub right here in the mountains. So these troops are well supplied. They're on mountain tiles in horrible in an area with horrible logistics for the Allies. This will take time to clear out. And that might postpone an eventual Allied D-Day. And the smartest thing for the Allies to do, if the Germans pull out for Barb, might be not clearing out North Africa, but pulling out the best troops, naval invading, either doing first a torch, or going straight for an invasion of Spain, assuming that Spain joins. And that's the next thing I want to look at.
But you could also do this. Yes, Benghazi is quite heavily defended, but Tripoli is not. Tripoli has 3 divisions. You could always land there.
I looked at that, and the Italians should notice this.
Yeah, they should. Ugis is such a experienced player that he has probably not.
But no one has naval supremacy in the Mediterranean. It's still contested. For the Italians, they're going to lose their naval advantage. This is one of the things which I think speak for an aggressive Italy. Get out soon. If you're going to contest the Royal Navy, do it sooner rather than later.
Things gonna need to happen. But you wanted to take a look at Spain.
Just one last thing, because if the Italians wait till the US joins, the US can kind of come over to Europe, let the Italians, let the Japanese have the Pacific during Tora. We don't want to engage the Japanese Navy anyway. Get in the Mediterranean, hunt down the Italian fleet, sink as much of it as possible, and then they can redeploy to the Pacific later. We've seen this in a couple of games.
We have, and as long as the Suez and Gibraltar is there, easy access for the US if they want to come in and have a slog.
And I don't think, Andreas, could you have a look at German raiding in the Atlantic, see if that makes any difference or if it's just, an annoyance. We are looking at Spain here. They are now in factory retooling. They don't really feel the need to push any of these focuses. They haven't gone down towards the naval focuses. I would do this.
And they haven't decided.
No. And we don't know which path they will go. So we are waiting for them to either pick abandon neutrality. Or stay up mind. Both these are locked in behind either Germany being at war with the Soviet Union or 1st of January 1942.
So they have some time to decide here. And no, Soliv, unfortunately, no Spanish carriers this time since Xnistan is playing the US. No Spanish carriers, unfortunately.
One thing that could speak for them going neutral, though, is that for them to abandon neutrality, they need more than 65% support for fascism. And they are at 50. They're not really rushing this.
No, they're not. They're not. But then again, he probably has some advices that he can use later on.
He absolutely does. But he has, right now, he has an advisor that gives daily support for unaligned.
Okay.
Let's see here.
Fair. We might have to come back to that and here with the expert on Spain here, but since they're a couple of years away from doing any decision whatsoever, we can leave them
a year.
A year. Okay, a year, but a couple of months then. But then again, what is Germany doing right now? Are they pumping out more troops?
They are pumping out more tank divisions. And we showed you before the assault divisions they used for France. They have these down in North Africa where they have been kind of just
chilling.
They went up to El Alamein. They tried a push just to see, okay,
can we push it? No.
Have they fucked up and we can just roll through?
They had not.
No. But they have started to push out tank divisions with anti-tank in it, and these will be very useful on the Eastern Front. So these are the tanks they will be using. Ignore the stats here. This is not how it will look, but they are going for more decent tank divisions.
Panzer IV chassis is coming out.
They are, though, a bit behind on this if you're looking at production. But this will ramp up because they ramped up this production a lot, maybe a bit late. They've ramped up plane production, but not by an insane amount. they are prioritizing getting a decent amount of armor divisions out. And
Yeah.
if this holds and they get out 15
Yeah,
tank divisions plus the
Plus-
9 assault divisions,
Yeah.
that's bad news for the Soviet Union.
it is, especially for Soviet Union being mostly infantry and garrisons.
Yes.
Yeah. There is some bad news with that.
Let's check out, actually, here we have some new divisions. What are these?
Oh, those
These are the light tank
Yeah,
divisions.
the light tanks that
Yeah.
Badger spoke about.
So they will have 20, according to Badger, I think they'll actually have more than that.
Yeah,
So a bit north of 20 light tank divisions. They
Yeah.
will have a bunch of these pushy infantry divisions. So these are 30 width mountaineers. And the rest of it is just these bog standard 20
but
width.
how much manpower has he fielded right now?
Actually, I said these were bog standard. They're not.
No,
They had this heavy anti-air, and this is uncommon for our games.
But it's what Badger said in the interview, and if you missed that, he's having that there to negate some of the German air, but also to use as basically an 88, an anti-tank gun, which is, dual purpose. It's great.
The Soviet Union has, as of now, fielded 2.9 million, and they will go north of 3 million. It's not that much for a garrison build.
It's not that much for a garrison build, but then again, he has some months left.
He has some months left, but
But-
if they come, let's say they come by summer 1941,
Well, it's going to be
and on a
tight.
garrison build, I would want to be between 4 and 5 million.
Yeah.
But it depends on what you have, and they have gone for quite a bit of air.
They have
We are not.
a lot of air.
We're a bit split on what effect this will have.
Yeah, because if we go to the fighter screen, if we go over to the air here, and we just take the fighters there, because a lot of these are I-16s.
Yeah,
Yeah, there are
36 fighters, right?
Yeah, they're.
And Germany will be coming with 1940 fighters,
Yeah.
some of the best in the game.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the Germans or the British have the best fighters. It's one or the other.
Yeah, it's either way. They're either first or second. So I mean,
Yeah. So this is basically, he's throwing gravel into the air.
Yeah.
These will die in droves, but
They will.
he has a lot more of it.
he has a lot more of it.
Let's see how many factories he has on these now.
There's probably a lot of them. Yeah, he's still producing. He's producing the Fighter 2 and Fighter 1 simultaneously.
But he has 80 factories on that and 50 factories on close air support. So he's really banking on being able to have green air over it. Frankly, the weak point of this
No,
is that
he's having 50 on Fighter 2s. He has, 50 there. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's 80 factories on fighters. He
Mm-hmm.
has 50 factories on close air support. The thing with this is, I'm not sure that he'll get green air where the Germans prioritize.
No, he said this that he needs 40% air superiority for the CAS even to lift off. In the places where he wants the CAS, but Germany also wants to push and put their air, I'm doubtful it will lift off. To be honest.
If they have a good air controller on Germany, I think. Yeah, I'm really. Let's say I'm not that good on air. I'm very excited to see how this turns out.
Yeah, me too.
But if it turns out that the air doesn't really give Johannes what he hopes for,
That's a
an
lot of
edge.
ways that I see.
It is a lot of ways that I see, and he's going to miss that million field of manpower. On the other hand, I'm not sure that 500,000 more fielded garrison divisions really makes that
No.
much of a difference
On
if
the
the
rebel.
German army armor breaks through. So there are a couple of things there. How effective is the Soviet air?
Yep.
How org heavy are these garrison divisions? The heavy anti-air should
Yeah.
stiffen them up,
They should.
but they are very slow when you have to redeploy.
Yeah, and also you have this, and we've had this when we've played and gotten a lot of air out. If you lose the build, has he built any contingency airports? Because where is he going to field the air if he loses the airports? He
is doing that now.
Yeah, he is. Good.
And this would say, I mean, Badger Johannes, he's a good player.
He is.
This is something that would have been so easy to miss, but he has
Yeah.
contingency airports behind the front line.
Because that's
Kudos.
That's a big problem. Even if you have a lot of air in, you get a lot of air in from the US and UK through Lend-Leases and whatnot. If you don't have the airports to fill them, then it's useless. It's not effective.
you want to know my feeling right now?
Yep.
So we're December 1940
Yep.
in game. My feeling right now is this is a really boring game that is about to turn really exciting.
Yeah, that's gonna.
It's just we're ramping up the tension on this
We
because
are.
there are so many. I mean, there are good builds here.
Yeah.
And there are interesting builds. There are quite unique builds.
Yeah.
And nothing has really exploded yet.
No. But
Everyone is playing conservatively, waiting for the decisive moment.
they're playing quite tactically, I would say.
Very.
Here. Yeah, and I mean they're not rushing for things, but then again, I would like to see some more sense of urgency from the Axis players. But that's just me. I want things
Because
to happen.
I think right now the Allies are more comfortable sitting pretty and just waiting this out. Because this is the phase of the game where especially the Euro axis should be, breaking skulls.
Yeah.
This is where you want to knock the other team down so that they can't get back in time to beat you.
Yeah.
So they need to really give, in a perfect axis game, I feel that Euro axis gives the Commonwealth nations a bloody nose. So it takes time for them to get back and present a threat in Western Europe. So even when the Americans get in, you're not that threatened while you deal with the Soviets.
Yeah. Exactly.
And right now they're sitting still.
Yeah. They are sitting still. But there is some. I think we should have a check with to stay on the Soviet Union and see if they have the or sorry, I think what I got from Andreas is for Spain actually. There are some interesting motorized divisions it's not for us to to take
Are
that.
we talking about Spain on
Yeah,
this?
I think we're talking about Spain.
Okay, so
To see, yeah, that one truck.
yep, these are also illegal.
Yeah.
Maybe we shouldn't use the term illegal for this, but
Rule bending.
rule breaking.
Yeah, rule breaking.
Rule breaking. Because as we said, you can have more artillery than you have of infantry, whether it's motorized or otherwise. We can bank on the Spanish not going a voluntary path, but joining the Axis because they wouldn't be
garrison
building
builds.
this huge amount of garrison divisions.
Yeah, but
Wait,
yeah.
are these one?
Yeah, not legal either.
Is this to get? I'm not sure why he's done this.
I don't know. Maybe to get a lot out in some. I don't know why he's done that.
I guess.
I guess. Yeah. But we actually have a question from Soliv. What is going on with the Italian stockpiles? How do they look?
Let's look at Italian stockpiles.
Yeah. And see what's happening there.
Well, they're behind on radios,
Yes.
as always.
Yeah.
Let's see, actually, because
Trains,
decent on convoys.
But behind on trains, that's a problem.
These are too classic because when you upgrade the radios, you need a lot more radios. You get behind on that. When you all of a sudden feel a lot of divisions that need a lot of supply, you fall behind on trucks. You fall behind on trains. Really easy mistake to make. Not game breaking, but maybe should pull some divisions out of North Africa, at least if he's going to push.
Yeah.
But I feel quite confident in saying that they're not going to push in North Africa. And I noticed that the Germans have pulled out some of their assault gun divisions.
Yeah, but
I'm guessing these three, they're leaving some here because
Yeah.
they
maybe
might not be using them.
maybe hand them over as expeditionary forces to the Italians. But
That would be really a good thing to do.
yeah. But as Soliv also says, that's a massive train deficiency. Yes, I would agree. Lacking that many trains, not good for supplies, not good for North Africa. So yeah.
The question is this because of Allied bombing? It doesn't seem so.
No.
They probably lost a bunch when they headed into Egypt here.
Yeah.
As you can see, this is two different air zones, Libya and Northern Egypt. When you move up to El Alamein, you get into
and you got bombed. We saw that.
Yeah.
So now they're consolidating, probably waiting for the Allies to come, and they've set the trap, they've set out the honey and saying, "Come on, come at us, bro." And the Allies are saying, "Nope, we're fine here."
And the Axis have finally sorted out the
Greece.
Balkans.
Yeah.
They should get some port. They should sort out these port garrisons. You can see the Italians are starting to. And I'm guessing that what we'll see from the Italians is they're going to go into a much more defensive state. They're going to hedgehog up. They're going to defend ports. They're going to pull back to defensive lines, and the Italians will transition over to doing just a bit of navy, a bit of raiding, and a D-Day wall.
Yeah, that's also what Mate said. With the Italians do seem to have sacrificed their territorial ambitions to further solidify the southern front. Although there's always a possibility of a Mediterranean trap with a Gibraltar invasion. Did you crash by any chance?
I crashed.
You crashed. Okay. I'm gonna say that studio crashed. One.
In the meantime, I could add a few things.
Yeah. Let's head over to Andreas.
So, now we don't have the game up, so I'm gonna have to memorize this, but I've been looking at what has been happening with the submarines from Germany. And the answer is not what you expected. So they have not been raiding the Atlantic. Instead, they have been sticking around Africa, the Horn of Africa, and the sort of, just south of Spain. And they have been trying to raid the gap between Africa and Brazil, the Cape Verde Plain, and it has been going incredibly poorly. So they've been sunk a bunch of times. But they've been keeping on reinforcing these very interesting submarines, which have extra range. So they have fairly bad but very long-range submarines. They keep reinforcing them, and they keep drowning. At the same time, they have also been sailing down a bunch of panzer ships settling around the area. I think we can see them. Yes, we can see them on screen now that everything is moving again. So a couple of task forces of panzer ships, heavy cruisers, and submarines. And it looks like they're prepping for something in the central Atlantic Gap and the Cape Verde Plains. They also were down and raided along the coast of Africa, but they were booted out due to a bunch of allied destroyers. So perhaps they are preparing the way for something from Spain. Perhaps they are opening another front on Africa, or maybe they are just not brave enough to go out into the Atlantic yet.
For that report in. We are waiting to get Magnus back in here. But I want to get this back towards you, Andreas, since you're up and running and going for it. As you have checked some of the Japanese Navy and the American Navy, how do they stack up compared to each other with the builds that they have, and what numbers do we have as of now?
Well, so let's switch back to Japan. They have been keeping on popping out fairly elite ships. So especially, they have landed a lot more super heavies and carriers on the field. But it still means that there are somewhere below 50 really good ships out there. Mostly super heavies, carriers, a few cruisers. They still have a stockpile of really bad submarines. We can look at the template here. They are essentially just a motor and level 1 torpedoes, as well as a few slightly better submarines. So let's see if we can get a hold of any of those. We can check out the template here, which have more developed torpedo slots though. But they still haven't transferred very much into this sort of refitted better submarine. The big ships are good, the destroyers are fairly poor, and that's the bulk of the forces. I mean, the destroyers are good at chasing submarines, but that's all they can do. If you compare that to the Americans still have the numbers. So the reserve fleet, which is essentially the fleet in the Pacific, is now almost 300 ships big. If you look at them, there is a ton of destroyers in the stack though, so it's not that good. They also have slightly more elite ships, but the elite ship number, first of all, they're mostly cruisers, early cruisers. There's a bunch of heavy ships somewhere around here, but they're not that impressive. You also have a few battleships and a few carriers, but in general, we still have a situation where the United States has the numbers, but perhaps not the quality. A large portion of their good ships are actually, well, oh, here we have something new, the F1137 elite force. There we have the elite force of the Americans, and here you see it on screen. A lot of heavy ships. So 15 heavy ships in this first stack, and the second stack is 16 early heavy ships. Good numbers, good ships. Still a lot worse than the super heavies, but there are about 8 of the super heavies out now, I think, and more of them are of course coming. Compare that to 31, and it might be a problem for Japan.
There might be a problem for Japan there. It's going to be interesting to see, actually. I'm trying to do several things at the same time. We also have a question with, would the Spanish be able to transform the 2 width divisions into bigger width divisions upon deployment on this rules? And yeah, that could be something they're going for. But then again, if these were fighting divisions, they would break the rule set. So we'll see about that, what happens, what made. Otherwise, and also Chesk186, hey all, love your cast, greetings to you, and we love you for being here. I mean, it's you guys that makes this possible and makes us want to continue and evolve and do more things like this, because you are the ones actually having the fun part. But I'm going to go back to Andreas here, because maybe since you have the map up, could you have a look at LL9 and see, do we still have that stalemate?
Well, yes. Let's dive in and look at El Alamein. Nothing is happening. The Italians are still drawn back almost all the way to Tobruk, and no one is actually moving. It's incredibly boring, actually. And since it's 1941, I presume that Germany is actually prepping for some kind of barb action sometime soon. So
maybe I would check on their focus and see what they're doing, and the Germans, how close and
yeah,
how far.
I accidentally went to Poland instead. I hate when it happens.
Time, so.
But they have stacked up on the front line, and they are doing the war with the USSR focus right now. So good prediction from us.
Yeah, there's gonna be a barb.
So we better get
right
our
then.
helmets on and prep up.
We had hot joints. No red stars on my farm.
But it's good to see you prepped and ready here. And so now we're gonna get some action. We're gonna get some actions.
Yes, and the action is
Your
hot join.
Yeah, and that's you.
That's me.
That's you.
We had a studio crash, but
That's why we have redundancies.
yeah, gladly we have redundancies in the studio.
Yeah. No, but this is going to be really interesting to see. 2 garrison builds, or 2 garrison heavy builds, but then again, a lot of German tanks. A lot of German tanks, but then again, a lot of Soviet planes. And that means when they do this, maybe you, Andreas, could have a quick look at the sorry,
I should throw in one contingency that
Yep, throw something in.
Because we've said that this comes down to kind of like Soviet planes versus German tanks, we should say if the Comintern manages to not, get pushed back or get overwhelmed, they do have a Mongolian player with his own mobile divisions that could do interesting things. And we should remember that the German garrison frontline, it's quite a beefy frontline in the number of divisions.
Yeah.
But they are also slow. They have even worse AT capability than the Soviets.
Yeah.
There is a small chance that the Mongol divisions could do something in Ukraine, that we could have a really mobile southern eastern front. I don't think we see much mobility up north.
Yeah, but it's also interesting to see what has the Finns prepared for this winter war, the continuation war.
I'm guessing that Simon doesn't have the best of time on Finland.
Nah.
We're seeing him doing...
He's also lacking equipment in his training.
He's lacking equipment.
Not the best.
He has, at best, 20 width divisions. I think we'll see a very defensive Finland.
Yeah, but then again, he has the multi-tactics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he might not get capped right away, but you can see that he's for what is an offensive axis operation. He's lined up his infantry on the defensive line.
Yeah.
Not a vote of confidence from the Finnish player.
No. Not much fun in Finland, no.
No.
But,
It's not so much Marsitan, Karjalan.
No, it's not. It's more like run away. But what mate also has this, it wouldn't be a HOI stream with no crashes, but Cohen has told me that, yeah, we also told ourselves that a couple of times, that there are crashes.
I'm just laughing that somewhere there's, maybe a friend of mine, somewhere there's a Finn watching this like, "Perkele satan."
Yeah, and now we'll see
What is this Finnish player running away?
But then again, I'm gonna give Simon days less than 24 hours to get into the game.
I'm not putting any of this on Simon.
No.
It's just, it's so good to have a Finland player. But I don't think he's prioritizing port defense rather than striking. He's not been able to fill up his own front line.
Yeah.
He's going to need Axis support, I think, just to stay alive. The only thing speaking for him is that the Soviets seem to have no
and
plans
there
on
the
attacking.
Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact came, and we have a pause for this.
You mean the breaking of Germany
Yeah,
breaks?
the breaks, the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. We have a pause here, but it's interesting to see, what can we see in Germany? Do we have any troops being ready to be shipped to Finland? Nope, Finland's on the road. Yep, okay, good luck.
Yeah, Finland's on their own.
Yeah,
Balkan Bros are ready.
Balkan Bros are ready.
We have,
yeah,
but it is good to see. I mean,
and war against the Soviet Union.
the German
Yeah.
front line here. There are divisions all over the place. We're not. What I like about it is it's not just an armor versus armor build.
No, but what I don't like about this, if I might be that one, there's 145 divisions under no general and they're green.
We can also see that the Soviets haven't opted for a continuous fort line here.
Yeah, they're giving up the Baltics. Yeah, I think that's the White's choice. He gets more troops per tile.
Giving up the Baltics, I think that's become the meta.
Yeah.
It's a long time since we saw anyone seriously contesting the Baltics because you're just so vulnerable if you get a break in this line, if you get a naval invasion in the back.
Yeah.
It's easy to lose 10 or 15 divisions in the Baltic countries. And it's not a Soviet core.
No, it's not a Soviet core. So,
Which means that you pull the front line up here. And he's placed it on the most defensible tiles possible. It's interesting to see he's gone for this little bulge here.
yeah.
To keep supply hubs behind the front line. He has pulled divisions up on Kiev. We talked about this off air. I think this is actually a smart thing. And I might even consider just abandoning these troops, just put them, because this is an urban tile. This slows the axis up.
You and me have been talking a lot about it, and this is something that I would like to try sometime to do.
Don't tell too many people.
No, but it would be nice to see fortress cities. Because you have Minsk, you have Kiev, and that's what I want to see up in the bulge she has over Kiev. I would have loved to see those troops in Bobyrysk, because you have a city tile in Bobyrysk.
Yeah. But then you have to
you have to do it more,
Mogilev as well.
Yeah, there's a lot more you have to
And
do.
this is also a marsh tile.
Yep.
So
But then again, holding the city, getting them to fight for the city, and then retreating into marshes. I mean, German tanks.
because what the Soviets want to do, even if they kind of lose or get pushed back, they want to be pushed back slowly. They want to slow the axis down. They want to make them take casualties. They can absorb some casualties. What the Soviets can't really absorb is losing too many divisions.
No.
I mean, manpower, no problem. They have 6.4 million reserve manpower.
But equipment.
Equipment hurts more, and trained divisions.
Yep.
So if they're starting to lose divisions, that's when you should get nervous as the Soviets.
And we can see the Mongolians have come down here also with their forces. Yeah. Rosen.
I was about to start saying something Mongolian, then I realized I can't.
I can't speak Mongolian. But Rosen.
Throat singing, not a.
But Rosen is also one of these players that can really wreak havoc on you if you're not prepared for him. If you're
Interesting that they're putting the Mongolians up north.
Yeah, some up north and some are down south, I think.
Nope.
No, nothing.
Because I would want.
Maybe he's going for Finland. Cap Finland, come back.
They should be trying to cap Finland, because I've never seen a weaker and less supported Finland. I've rarely seen a weaker and less supported Finland, and both of those things are true. So, Simon, if you're watching this, in a few days, we're not badgering you.
No, I mean I've come to the rescue of Magnus once as Finland, so I know how hard that can be. But I actually...
You've never saved me.
I've saved you.
We've saved Andreas.
Yeah, we saved Andreas. Oh, I've said Pontus. Yeah. Either way, you can be saved as Finland. Before we...
Can I say some things about...
We have a surround. We have a surround.
Hey!
Hey, yeah. But will they be able to close that?
No.
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 No. No.
Uh,
But cheeky. Cheeky.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm wrong, there are Mongolians down here.
There are Mongolians.
Yeah, they managed to...
Yep, they took one. That's a Bulgarian.
That's a Bulgarian division off the line, and Bulgaria doesn't have many divisions. Could I
Nope.
say something before this turns really hot? Is that...
Yeah.
No, he's pulled them up because he did separate front line.
But they're breaking him.
And these are...
They're
Hey,
Spain.
they're Spanish
Yeah,
trucks.
Spanish trucks.
Could you have a look at Spain?
Yes, that was what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
So Spain has opted to go volunteer Spain, and they are not doing it with tanks. They're doing it with trucks, and they have actually legalized their template at this point, so there is no problem with it anymore. So it's heavy, it's motorized artillery and motorized infantry.
This is very bad news for the Soviets because these...
Yeah, they're breaking up.
Yeah.
They're pulling through. And now you need to get a counter up there.
Yeah, you need... This is precisely what we're talking about. You see these mobile divisions coming in.
Yeah.
These are going to want to slow this up. They're going to get a small pocket here, I'm pretty sure. They could attack with the infantry. I know it's just garrisons, but garrisons does something.
Yeah, but they can take... Is it...
And the Soviet divisions are not able to push even.
No, but they're getting counter-pushed. Yeah, they're going to get that out. Yeah.
Yeah, they got the encirclement out, but that is bad news for the Soviet front line because that was easily pushed back.
Yeah.
Down south here, the Balkan Bros are still moving up. These very speedy Spanish divisions could be bad news for...
But then again, you have something, when the Germans have a garrison build, the Spanish can't be that speedy because they need infantry to follow them up.
And it's always such a dangerous thing on the Eastern Front.
Exactly.
When you move your push divisions in, you got to make sure that you have the infantry following it up. And when you have 4 or 5 different countries playing this, it's hard to... It's such a challenge just to communicate, okay, I'm pushing, push the infantry. We can say that Soviet counter-push went really well.
Yeah.
So I said they couldn't push here, but it seems that when they get organized...
They can push.
Yeah, we'll see.
But then again, where are the German tanks?
So now we're
you're
going
on
to be a
point.
bit more stressed out. Bear with us here. We're going to try and follow the action. Andreas is going to try and keep an eye on naval
Everything
things.
else.
Because we will get tunnel vision over the Eastern Front. We love the Eastern Front and everything exciting is happening here. So let's see where we have German armor. There we have those.
And Fallschirmjäger. Yeah, there's the bulk of them. Down in the south.
So it seems that they put the more lightly armored divisions up north. We have Bulgarians, we have German tanks here, and we can see that they are able to push.
Yeah, they're breaking it.
And this could be really... Oh, this is nice.
Yeah, they're
you see this pincer move
Yeah, I
around
see
Kiev.
that. And they're going to go around, they're going to take Kiev.
So let's switch into the tab into the Soviets. See, they have divisions behind the front line here, but these are on less defensible tiles now.
Yeah, and no forts.
And where are... And this is something I hate, just leaving infantry behind the front line.
But isn't that his second fallback line?
This is not a second fallback line. This is 14 divisions in a stack.
Okay. Oh, yeah. So we have that.
Maybe attack other tile here.
Mm-hmm. Pin them and move. Yeah.
So the Mongol horde is not faring well against German tanks.
No, surprise, surprise. And also, as Mike Mandalorian says, light tanks being trash, imagine my shock. Yeah, imagine the shock. Yeah, but this is a pretty good surround of Kiev.
But good.
Yeah.
I like that. I mean, it's not good that they're getting 8 divisions encircled here. But I like what they did where they do a counterattack. They even when they lose, you just attack.
Pin them, attack them.
Pin, attack, stress out the opponent. And this isn't disastrous for the Soviets as long as they manage to pull back.
No.
But we can see up here, they've got another encirclements. These divisions will be lost to them. We have a huge hole in the front line here. They're going to need to have a new defensive line.
How does the casualties look? I'm always interested in casualties. 39, that not that much yet. And
no, but this will...
Yeah, that will up.
That will explode.
Yeah, when the 8 divisions there are dead and in the other surround.
What the hell happened here? But it's not good news for the Soviet front line. The deciding factor is, are the Soviets going to be able to pull back in an organized manner? Because, I mean, losing a few divisions, not a catastrophe. Losing a front line, a river line, no one cares.
No.
Your trade territory, that's fine. But you need to be able to pull back in an organized fashion.
As of now, it's not a disaster. They've lost some troops. They're going to lose, Kiev. But there's not, it's not that big of a deal right as of now. The Germans have showed they can push your divisions. And that should be the worrying thing.
Yeah, and the Hungarians and Spanish are slowly pushing through up north. This is a completely open line. And this is also the case that, I mean, we have 2 or 3 Soviet players in this line. We will have a surround up here.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, they're gonna. Yeah, because no one's looking at that. Nobody's looking.
So we'll have another pocket up here, and the northern front is going to be very much
Finland hasn't
exposed.
joined yet, but they have 100 days until they have to join.
And I think that they hope to be able to push Finland before that. The Finns have understandably waited the maximum amount of time.
But also the defense of Leningrad, it's 5 divisions in Leningrad, that will not hold.
And it's even worse because these will have a hard time pushing out. If they just they don't even have to capture Leningrad. No, they just have to get up to this river. Yeah. So actually, just push the Axis front forward here.
Yeah. So
let's see down south here we have another German breakthrough, heavily contested. I think they're fighting good in the center.
Yeah,
they are not getting disastrously pushed.
Yeah, but the north is not faring well.
The Germans should pull down, just break the line, and let the Bulgarians roll through, because these Bulgarian divisions are really dangerous once they get through our line. But they're not the best at breaking it.
No, and they're not the best at pushing over a river.
No,
they're not. But in the north, things does not look that good for the Soviets.
And I would say
that Finland joins.
That is really bad news because when you look at the whole East front, the south, you have a river line. Once they get over this, it's really hard to hold Ukraine.
And they've gotten over.
And now they got over the river line. Yeah. The center here, it's very hard to hold a steady line here.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's gonna be a staggered line in most cases.
But on the other hand, it's awkward terrain all the way back to Moscow, and you can just fall back as a Soviet player.
Yeah, but look at the pincer movements that they are.
I love that they're doing these pincer movements, and they're also being a bit conservative here because it's not these broad strokes. It's not 5 or 10 tiles. It's a couple of tiles. They push in,
take 7 or 8 divisions,
and
rinse and repeat.
Rinse and repeat, and that means that the Soviet front line is
staggered.
Yeah, and unfeasible. I think this northern line will. It will snap like a twig.
But something important to look at here, the air war. How does it look?
I really need someone else to look at air because I'm...
Yeah. But he's holding green in Belarus. But it's yellow everywhere.
Green or yellow?
Yeah.
Let's look at the... But he's losing way more fighters.
Yeah.
Just on this tile, we have 70 to 210. So it's 1 to 3. And in the long term, they can't afford to keep that up.
No, they can't.
So they will run out of fighters unless they
get some influx of fighters from other countries.
Let's see Lend-Lease here.
Yeah.
I can't see that here.
You have to go over here, I think. No.
Where?
Recruit and deploy. There you can see if they have any. Yeah, they have a Lend-Lease from South Africa.
Yeah, the Lend-Lease of South Africa fuel.
They're sending fuel to South Africa.
Yeah.
But nothing else.
So right now, from what we can tell, no incoming air power to the Soviet Union. The Americans are not in the war yet.
No.
The line was broken here. They're contesting that. That's good from the Soviet Union, but the overall picture is not looking good.
And they're up to 500,000 casualties.
Yeah.
And also we have this...
And as we said, it's not that it's casualties. It's actually destroyed divisions.
Yeah. It's the experienced divisions, it's the equipment. I don't think they're in a deficit just yet, but it's probably not looking good.
They're getting there.
They are heavy anti-air. They've lost one.
So this deficit of heavy anti-air, that means they can't deploy the same garrison divisions. They're down on infantry equipment.
Squad weapons, they're down. Yeah, they're losing a lot here.
So this is bad for the Soviet Union. We're just into August.
Yeah.
I would not be confident as the Soviet Union.
I would not be confident.
How are we on? They still have all their mechanized divisions from what I can tell.
Yep, they do.
Let's look at the Mongolians. Because that would be the real disaster if they lose these mobile divisions. They will not be able to
replenish those and get those back. But then again, we have the possibility here. I mean, there's a lot happening here. There's a lot of surrounds. But I quickly want to go over and see, because now it's up to the allies to start doing things. So I want to go over to Andreas and see what is happening in North Africa. Is the allies pushing, or is it still nothing?
Well, the opposite actually. So now it's a little bit cluttered here, but Germany took an opportunity, broke the British cipher, and pushed for El Alamein together with Italy, and they were booted out just recently. So nothing has been moving, actually. They've been walking a little bit back and forth in the desert land here, but otherwise it's been bogged down.
But still good from Germany and Italy to contest and show that, hi guys, we're not gone, you can't relax.
It's actually
Yes,
very...
something I don't think we have talked about until recently, and still to a small extent, Germany has actually been keeping some of their early tanks in Northern Africa.
Yeah.
Only 3 of them right now. There was 5 of them earlier. I don't think anyone died, so I think they just transferred a few.
Yeah.
So we still have a German presence in Africa.
It's very ballsy to invade the Soviet
Yeah.
Union and still leave armored divisions
It
in
is.
North Africa.
Yeah. Oh, the Aegean Islands has fallen also as a pop-up. But, yeah, okay.
I'm guessing that's a delayed pop-up.
Yeah, I think so.
Turning back to the Eastern Front, because now we're seeing surrounds in the south. And I think this is what's going to break the Soviets.
Yeah.
They managed to get out their mobile divisions.
But
Rosen and
up,
Mongolia,
but
the other
up in
ones
Gomel.
are
Oh.
contesting, but they are losing too many,
Yeah.
way too many garrison divisions.
Yeah.
Which means that the front line, and as the front line thins out, you lose divisions, you're not able to pull them back, pull up a new front line, get new entrenchment. There's going to be a moment, if it continues like this, there's going to come a moment when you just have a too thin front line
Yeah.
to actually get your mobile divisions out. You move up to contest something, everything breaks apart on your flanks, and you're going to get encirclements of the mobile divisions as well.
But looking at the casualties and the surrender progress for the Soviets, that means they come closer and closer to getting their spawn-ins out. With Order 270.
Yes,
so.
and I think that they should.
Yeah, they've done 270 at least.
Yeah, that helps. It's also that you're just so vulnerable during these
Yeah.
first months.
You are.
They
But-
might actually have been better off just pulling the whole front line back, leaving
Yeah.
a few divisions
A token
in
force.
cities,
Yep.
just
Token
slow the axis up, blow the infrastructure, and hope that just time passes so that you have a better chance of contesting the line.
But I mean, Ian talked about early 43, D-Day. That might be too late.
It might be. I'm not sure they will be capped by then, but they might be so far gone that you
Yep, you.
can't save it. I mean, it's still early days,
Yeah,
but
it's
we can
early
see
days,
here that
and winter hasn't kicked in yet.
no, but right now nothing other than Russia's large is,
Yeah. Is speaking.
is speaking for the Soviet Union. Andreas, you waved.
Yep.
So it's happening. Japan is entered the war. Japan is in, the United States is in, they have landed with Manchukuo forces on Java and with Japan forces as well. So it's on.
So that means, can you just have a quick look at the Australians here? Are they fighting? Where are they? Are they in Singapore?
It looks calm on the map.
It looks common, but I think we might have some live images from the Australians. Well, the Australians look in good spirits. Some really good music there from them. We actually have a question from Vendedelis. Could we zoom in on Sevastopol?
We could. It's in
But
German hands.
Yep. So, yep.
But
Yeah. So they're also through here. That's
yeah, the Bulgarians have managed to push over the Kerch Straits here.
Yeah.
So this is bad news for the Soviets. They have divisions here, but it's just one more thing that's not in their favor. The hard fighting is about the front. We got 22 divisions circled up here. That's half a Soviet army. They still have, I mean, plenty of garrison divisions. But they did just abandon the Finnish front. Actually, they should pull even more divisions from off the Finnish front.
Yeah.
They should pull back. I think it might be too late now, but they should have pulled this whole thing back to the river line behind Leningrad. Maybe actually they should start looking at the river line north of Moscow, because this is hard to break. It's just so bad supply for the axis up here.
Yeah.
And they will need to concentrate things around Moscow and in front of Stalingrad. I don't think they really in that kind of crisis mode yet, but you get a bit of tunnel vision as the Soviets.
And also, they're probably not in crisis mode, but this is stressful. Seeing divisions,
most stressful you can have.
seeing divisions just melt away.
Yes, but can we just look at this here? A perfect example is that you had an encirclement here, and even though they've gone over to frontline orders, that's a good thing. Do frontline orders when you're fighting as the Soviets if you're in this situation. But they have a gap in the front line here.
Yeah.
And you have kind of an encirclement. You get a bunch of troops north of it, you get a bunch of troops south of it, and it means you can break through and kind of get rolling encirclements. You get an encirclement and then encirclements and encirclements.
Back to back to back to back to back.
Yeah, and you need frontline orders, you need to push those frontline orders away, and when you see this happening, you should pretty much this whole section try and get a new front line somewhere here. There's not much to hang it up on, but these are marsh tiles. Just get something pulled back so that you can get a bit of entrenchment, a bit of breathing room. It saves your divisions, and you need just half a minute of breathing space in this situation is really useful for the Soviets.
And we also have the breaking news in Singapore has fallen to the Japanese or Siam, but it's supported by the Japanese.
And we'll remind you that they're not pushing hard into India. What they want is just lock down Singapore, get a defensible line in Burma, so that they're banking on the Indians not being ready to do a big push while they can focus on the islands.
But look at the naval invasions that they have planned.
It's just an octopus. And they're already planning on Sydney and Adelaide. This is a very offensive game.
Yeah, it is.
I think that Andreas will be the one looking at the Asia Pacific. Will keep with the action on the Eastern Front.
Yeah, and I'm also imagining that the US are not going to be out during Tora Tora Tora. I wouldn't be, but it's not yet disastrous, but it's, that's a lot of
12 more divisions in an encirclement here. I think this is still the old encirclement. I might be wrong about that. It's kind of a walking pocket here, but I don't think they'll be able to break back in through the front line.
Even though they're winning that battle.
Yeah, but it's 4 days. We're moving it. They might be able to break out. But
yeah, because now
it's a tall order.
Let's
get back into the air game. And they're still managing to have green air. But
green
let's
or
look
yellow.
at what they've lost. Okay, they're trading 1 to 2. This is better for the Soviets.
That's better. A lot better.
But they're still losing a lot of airplanes.
How many planes is he missing now in stockpile? 500. Yeah.
Almost 600 fighters.
Yeah, almost.
And just north of 100 casts.
Yeah. But then again, Simon on Finland, he's moving forward.
Evacuate Stalingrad, for the love of God. These are also the good, Leningrad. These are also the good infantry divisions. I have 30 widths with some push potential.
The eternal glory for the studio is still alive. That's all I was hoping for in this. But
specifically save this division.
Yeah, save that. Pull it out. Just get it away. Cross the Urals. Don't care. I want that saved. But as some people have said in chat, at least winter is approaching.
Winter is approaching, but winter in itself doesn't really save you. What saves you is that you get some debuffs off. They've gotten, it has become less panicky once you get into Order 297. We have a lot more, or some more decisions here that can really help. Staggered retreat and so on. You have focuses, learn from our losses here.
Yeah.
These will
and now
help you.
And we have Operation Countenance as of now. A combined invasion of Iran. I don't really know if the Soviets can spare troops for Iran.
I'm not sure the Allies want this in the long run.
No.
But
okay.
One of the things about keeping a neutral Iran is...
it's a neutral Iran.
It's a buffer.
Yeah. But then again, it's also the quicker way to get over to the Rosh if you need to get troops over.
And I think that it helps with the supply and the Lend-Lease.
Mike Mandalorian has actually said something in chat here. If Russia survives to 1943, it's going to be a great achievement anyway and probably win it for the Allies. But it's not often that I see a Russia with planes instead of heavy tanks and infantry spam. I would probably say this. They will survive into 43. The problem is what state will they be in 43? Because even if the Allies do, and Hong Kong has fallen, even if the Allies do a D-Day in 43, they might be too far gone, too long gone.
And it's a whole year left to go.
Yeah.
Right
Yeah.
now, we can look at field and manpower.
Yeah.
Because in the field, we have 2.5 million. They had north of 3 million when we
Yeah.
started. And all those are trained divisions.
Yeah.
That's been lost.
And also,
They will spam up more crappy infantry divisions.
but equipment-wise, how are we looking?
And this will be some kind of a circlement
Yeah.
here as well.
But I think actually, if I'm not mistaken, and the fall of Manila, Philippines, all that. But I think we actually have some live pictures from the Eastern Front summarizing the Soviet situation as of now. Shocking images. But yeah, that's
I
how
must
we
say,
go.
we're getting British Lend-Lease into the Soviet Union. Gladiator fighters.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's I mean that's the start fighter. Not going to do much to turn the picture around.
Yeah, and it seems that Dawn has actually written in chat with, I'm probably home within 2 hours. I might need to reinforce Badger and the Soviets if they exist by then. Dawn, I think, I'm guessing it's...
Get home soon.
Yeah, step on it, just...
Yeah. Also, I mean, I don't think this is a micro problem per se. I mean, the belt doesn't stack up, and what they need to be doing is getting troops out. And I think we could be looking at some of the first encirclements of actual mobile divisions.
Yeah.
These are...
Yeah, they're trying to
They're
pull out.
dangerously close to starting getting
they
their
are.
armored divisions surrounded. They haven't taken defend Moscow. They should.
But they're on their way, right?
No, they went for keep the commissars.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
No. I think they did
They've
right now,
done. Yep, they've done that.
which is good.
But
because
they
this-
need the equipment in before you can use them.
Yeah, but
But it's good. It's men on
put
the
these
line.
on a front line. What you also get is a fourth line here. This is actually something that really can stabilize it. The problem is once you're that far behind,
Yeah.
you can't afford. If you fall back more than that, it's very, very, very hard to turn around.
Yeah.
And as what you said, I mean, even if this situation turns around, you're gonna have a tough time. Even if the Allies land, say the Soviet Union survives until 43, the Allies land in Europe. There's very little offensive capability on the Soviet side right now.
There is.
And we see an Axis that's so confident that they still have troops in North Africa.
Yeah.
These can be redirected.
Yeah. If they start.
And the problem is also, the Allies are just, all these divisions are basically just Allied troops standing around doing nothing.
Yeah.
This is what I meant with the hidden
Yeah.
trap of being sucked into a North African
Yeah.
campaign for the Allies.
They have to push. They have to push. They have to do something to alleviate the pressure. I mean, I know they talked about 43.
I mean, to quote an American saying that I hate, either piss or get off the pot.
Yeah, basically.
Either you do something offensive in North Africa as the Allies, or pull these troops out, prepare a landing in Spain. No, Spain went volunteer.
Yeah, Spain went volunteer.
Bad news. News.
But
But there's not much of a D-Day wall.
no, and I think Ian knows that, or at least gambled for that. But they have to start doing things soon. And I kind of want to check over with Andreas in the Pacific with Japan and the US. What's the
As you
threat
must
over
say,
there?
the Soviets have 50 divisions surrounded in front of Moscow.
Okay, yeah.
Andreas.
Yeah, you just missed a fairly exciting naval battle, rather a battle between, a navy and naval bombers, where the United States managed to sink a bunch of Japanese submarines, like in the sort of 50s. So it was a pretty significant victory. Beyond that, what is essentially happening is that Japan is taking the lead. They are taking control of they have taken all of the major islands, and they're taking control of the sea bordering between the islands and Australia. So Australia could be in a poor position, and you can see on my screen the United States are pinging for defense across the entire area, or I guess Australia is pinging for defense. And the United States do have navies here. They have the two decent navies here even, with a bunch of heavy ships. But is it going to be enough? Hard to say. And they're operating from the Tasman Sea, so they are some way away. That can be a problem. And if we go over and look at the Japanese screen, yes.
Sorry to interrupt you Tasmanian Sea just to prevent the naval invasions from Australia by projecting the power.
I think they did.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't think they are looking for an engagement.
No.
The problem is that if the sea turns red, there's going to be sharks in the water, and in this case, the sharks are Japanese naval invasions. And you see, they have some planned for Australia. I don't know if they're going to be able to launch them, but they have them planned. They might be going in a bit.
Yeah.
I'll keep you posted.
Cool. Thank you for that. That's interesting.
Back to the Eastern Front.
Yeah, back to the
where
Eastern
I
Front.
mentioned that we had 50 Soviet divisions encircled. The Soviets managed to break in and break most of them out.
Okay, that's good.
Heroic defensive line. But you can see here that they're getting them bunched together.
Yeah, Salvini over
The
there.
front
yeah.
line is open here.
Yeah.
The front line is open south of it. They need to get these back, spread them out. But
Yeah.
they managed to evade what might have been a knockout blow. They're now down to 2.3 million fielded men, even less than that. And these troops are still in peril.
Yeah.
They need to get them back, spread them out, get them dug in.
If I could just ask
Yes.
you for something. We saw that the Bulgarians had spearheaded into Caucasus going over from Sevastopol. How is that? Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Basically, it's a snake now here
It's a
because they
snake.
don't have any divisions. And
But the Mongolians are down here.
the Mongolians are down there, and I
And
think that they might
They're
actually
outperforming.
encircle Bulgarians.
Yeah, if the
But
Bulgarians aren't.
this is a war with.
Yeah,
down
but
here
now
some-
he's leaving.
might be the smart thing to do.
Yeah, I think.
This
yeah.
is basically a war between very few motorized divisions because no one has a front line down here. It's just snakes versus snakes.
But also, the problem here is if the Soviets loses all this oil.
yeah,
Yeah. If
this is all the Soviet oil, which I think that the Bulgarians should be risk a bit, get like 10 infantry
some-
divisions in here.
some of those you're training, perhaps, deploy them here. Just put a line in the mountains and try to hold it.
For the Soviets,
Yeah, for the Soviets.
absolutely. Because that will knock out the few remaining Soviet mobile divisions, and that's what's keeping it. We spoke about these Imperial divisions up here. They're very close to getting circled.
Yeah,
Move these German tanks.
Move,
For
move,
the
move.
love of God, pin.
yeah, and he's moving. And
There we go. There we go. And this is a very
that's the
harsh blow
juicy
if they manage to
pocket. That's a
close
juicy
this.
pocket.
Okay, let me.
You have to pin them. Yeah, they took it. Yeah, yeah, that's a lot of divisions.
And I think that might be the whole kind of central front for the
Yeah,
Soviets.
I think so. That's as it is.
But I said they're not losing the mobile divisions.
No, they're keeping
The
that.
problem is,
They're losing him.
if you have no front line, what are you going to do with light tank divisions?
Nothing. And Idotosaurus Rex actually said in Twitch, that's a lot of inf. There's a lot less inf than when we started, especially for the Soviets.
Yeah. And you can see here this
And the equipment
quickly
losses.
turn around. It's 40 or I think we're looking at not 50 division, but I think it must be
Close to 40,
that
yeah.
were encircled. That's a whole army. If you're looking up here,
Yeah,
you can see that this started out
it
with
ticks-
full armies.
they're ticking down. They're ticking down so quickly. And also the equipment losses.
equipment,
That's what we're
I
talking
think
about.
the Soviets might have lost about half their infantry.
Yeah, yeah. If you just look at casualties, we can see that.
They're now down to 1.8.
Oh, and we're close.
They're almost down to half their fielded manpower.
Can we just, and that's our also, but can we just look at the casualties real quickly? This
2.9 million for the Soviets. Might not have been catastrophic if it hadn't been lost divisions.
Yeah.
But it's a lot in half a year.
And also, sorry to ask for that, but the equipment deficit has to be horrendous right now. Not that.
No, but they've lost half their divisions.
Yeah, they've done.
This is the deficit they have on the divisions they have left.
And also, look at this. Fuel is going down.
Fuel is going down.
Yeah.
Because now they've actually cut off their off the Caucasus.
Yeah, but then again, they might be encircled here, the Bulgarians.
Why are you moving?
Why-
are you moving troops out? I think
No,
that's the-
he's
he's moving them out.
Yeah.
He's
But
abandoning
no,
the Caucasus.
Bulgarians or Romanians. 2 Romanians.
So this is good. Rosen, you're getting a
Rosen.
tiny gold star here.
Yeah, you're getting the kills. I want to leave this action for a quick while to go back to the Pacific and see what's happening over there and in North Africa. So, Andreas, any updates?
Well, excitingly enough, as we were fighting over Moscow, the Japanese were also naval invading in Darwin and on Perth and were kicked out before they even managed to land. So even with green water, the American fleet managed to get in, intercept, raid the hell out of the convoys and kick them out. However, they are trying again, so we will see how long this keeps going.
But have we seen any major fleet engagements in the Pacific?
Not really. There are a bunch of battles, but it's mostly between planes and the boats, and beyond that there are a few skirmishes. So the number of real ships are almost the same now as they were at the start of the confrontation.
Yeah.
It's just bad submarines and a few destroyers who keep sinking.
Yeah. Thank you for that. We're going back to the Eastern Front, and I have two questions here from
quickly.
chat. The first one is, what width is the Russian infantry anyway? The holding garrison? 20. Yeah.
But to get back to the action, because we saw the immobilized infantry in front of Moscow. They're doing something which, I mean, it's a really bad situation, and I'm not blaming the Soviets because you're so deep down in kind of like the stress cone. You're so deep down into just trying to survive here. But they had mobilized infantry, basically crap infantry, but it's divisions. They spawn around Moscow, and what they did, maybe they had to, but they pulled them into the same frontline order that's already collapsed. And I said you should do frontline orders, but when your line is broken, what you need to do if you have an infantry line, you need to push it back for a bit so that you can get entrenchment, so that you can kind of begin anew. What's happening right now is that the front line is moving. Not that fast, but it's moving.
It's moving.
And you're throwing infantry into that. That's just, they march up to the front line.
Get deorged and die.
Get deorged or die, or get surrounded and die. You need to kind of like just pull
back
a couple of
2-3 tiles.
Pull back, and now we're starting to see the encirclement of the mobile divisions.
Yeah.
They might be able to get these out if the Germans don't move in tanks, because the the German garrisons are basically
not great.
They're
not great either.
they're even more crap than the Soviets, I would say. They're also 20 wet.
Yeah, but they
no
don't.
AT,
They just have light.
It's a true garrison build.
It is. But then again, Soliv says this extraordinary barb. I have to agree with him that this build from the Germans and the Axis works perfectly against the build that the Soviets have.
Yeah.
And I mean, the air has been, he has had green or yellow air, but they haven't been able to work on that. So it's a lot of ways that I see.
He still has green or yellow air.
But it's still a lot of ways that I see.
Yeah, and even if so the Axis divisions will move slower because they have red air or yellow air. But they're still moving faster than garrison divisions. They're still able to push garrison divisions. So the air
doesn't
it's
have
just
that much.
The wrong bet, sadly, for the Soviets.
The wrong bet.
I'm not saying they should have given up air altogether, but they've put in too much IC into air that would have, say just
medium tanks.
Yeah. Just a small correction of building, perhaps not 100% garrisons, to take same garrison build, just throw in 40 divisions of infantry for Ukraine. We're going to need to move a bit faster, mediums instead of lights. Yep. I still think they might have lost against this German build, but they would have lost slower.
But medium, because they have punching power, and you could have taken away.
They're now attacking Moscow, by the way.
Yeah, you had 80 factories on CAS, have 50 on CAS, and then take 30 on medium tanks. Scale down.
Maybe drop the CAS altogether.
Yeah, maybe. And just keep the green.
I mean, the fighters
work.
That contests there. That makes sure the Germans can't use their CAS.
Yeah.
But
they seem to be holding Moscow. But this is something that
now.
Yeah, but this is something that is a real problem for the Soviets here. It's February, it's winter, and the Germans are pushing. Mm-hmm. That's a problem. Big problem.
And most of the really hard debuffs for the Soviets are gone, but they've lost so many divisions that it's hard to see that.
They've pulled back a bit in Leningrad. They've retaken some ground up around here. But then again, Moscow is about to fall, so evac this.
Yeah, because as soon as the Germans prioritize some good divisions here.
Or swing up from here.
Yeah. You shouldn't be there.
No.
You should not be here.
Keep some troops in Leningrad, pull the rest back.
You see, there you have German armor.
Yeah,
I would have pulled back basically the entire northern front, trying to concentrate more around Moscow, more before Stalingrad. Rosen's bloody nose on the Bulgarians actually made them pull back a bit.
Yeah.
The Soviets have gotten out some spawn divisions, which mean they've actually climbed up in fielded manpower.
Yeah.
They're now 2.6 million fielded.
Almost back to what they had at the start.
Not quite.
Not quite.
A lot less quality in those divisions, but you can see the front line stabilized somewhat.
Yeah.
this might be enough to keep them going
And
into 1943, but there's still so
but
much
there's
on the
still
back foot.
no pushing power here.
Nope. You can see here where they're trying to save this small pocket.
Yeah, but that's no.
And this also eats equipment for those precious mobile divisions.
And we have Anonymous
Also hard supply for them.
in Twitch. Hi, what's up? Hi, it's great. We are just looking at the Soviet Union during Barb. What's up with you? Nice to have you here. And we also have, John Brothers. Yeah, we answered your question already. But if you have questions or any thoughts and concerns, be sure to put them in the chat. Yeah.
We have things happening in North Africa.
Yeah.
We're seeing a push from the Allies.
Yeah.
So here we have the South African heavy tanks. And this is good. Maybe go for the encirclement there, not
Yeah, take
pushing them
the
out.
encirclement. And
But minor tactical issues. They've broken this fort line. I think what the X will do is just let them have to brook and then fall back
and just
on
move
this.
back. And probably evac the German tanks.
Yeah, these are German assault guns. I mean, you can evac them, you can leave them.
Yeah, but
they're crap against South African heavies.
But
So.
against the garrison build in the Soviet Union,
Yeah,
they're not crap.
yeah. And then you just leave the Italians to
Their
lose
fate.
slowly.
Yep.
But I mean, this is not a disaster for the Italians. Yeah, they're getting pushed back, but they're keeping the Allies occupied. Can we see any form of...
Build up for... no.
I don't think so. So we spoke to Ian on
Ian.
UK earlier in the day, and he said he was pushing hard for a D-Day in 43, early 43.
Yeah.
I would say that is at the latest.
Yeah, they have to ramp up.
We might see the Soviets
And now-
pushing out of this salient.
But they are pushing up from the south.
Precisely what we said just a minute ago.
Yeah, and there's
this is the big
Yeah.
risk here.
It is.
So we're going to get a small encirclement down here. Not so small, actually.
Yeah.
And every division in the salient is now
in risk.
at risk.
Yeah, and
we're
there's a
also
lot
seeing
of
German-
there's a lot of light tanks in here.
actually very well played German armor.
Yeah, and here we have that surround.
Yep.
Yep. And the casual even has said, I'm doing a Mughal India World Conquest right now. Good for you. Let us know how that goes, because I'm quite interested in that, to see how that goes.
Might actually be able to break these guys out.
Yeah, but
Hard supply for the Germans.
yeah.
Even if they break them out from there, they're still
Yep.
inside the pocket, though.
Yep. And also, the more strength they waste on trying to break out, the easier it would be to crush them. But
that's
no,
good.
they got
That's
it.
good.
They got in.
A bit too cocky from the Germans, so
Yeah, but now, the Germans noticed and are pulling out. I actually heard a from Andreas, so I want to go over to Andreas and see what he is about.
Yes, so in Australia, the Japanese failed to land on Darwin again, but they landed on the two tiles beside it, and they now have almost 12 Marines walking into Australia. The problem is they don't really have supplies, but they do still have the flags on their side, so they are not being pushed out. We're also getting, a lot of things are happening right now.
Yeah.
So outside of that area, we have a naval battle, right?
Yeah.
doesn't look
And
decisive, but losses on both sides.
But it's a new naval battle now. They've re-engaged.
Let's see how this
So
goes.
the people on land are probably going to be booted out because they're not getting supply. But this forces everything to come to a bit of a head.
Yeah. But also the Japanese are they pushing in or are they retreating?
They're retreating.
They're retreating. Yeah. Maybe see if we can. It's not decisive engagement, but they are American victories in the engagement. And now the surround. Australia really needs to, or Japan really needs to get some sort of.
The question is if they can get supplies in via that airbase there.
Yeah, he probably can. He probably can.
I'm gonna go back to the Eastern Front just to look at that.
Yeah.
Because I think that we have a very aggressive Japan, good countering from the US Navy, from what I can tell.
Yeah.
And still a very lively Soviet.
Yeah. Maybe we
on
could.
the And the Soviets are back up to 3.2 million manpower. But this is a lot of divisions that are not actually tip top.
No.
So they get a lot of spawn-ins through focuses, which is what they really need. And I think it was really the saving grace here.
Yeah.
I think they also managed to encircle German tank division
Yeah.
or two.
Yeah, how many tanks does the Germans have? Yeah, but this is a good comeback. They've taken some of the garrison troops. Yep.
Still
19. 19. Yeah.
Actually, it should be even more because that.
Yeah,
Here
but
we have,
he had 5 from the start, so he's lost 2, as it seems.
yeah,
So,
plenty of German, but that's good news for the Soviets. They're actually able to push back a bit.
yeah.
And we should say we bash these light divisions, but they seem to be able to. When the Germans are low on supply, they seem to be able to get in and relieve some Soviet forces from encirclements.
Yeah. And we also have this, John Brothers is asking, this is Badger playing as the Soviet? Yes. Is he playing alone? No, he is joined by Petey, who is usually in one of these chairs, and by Calle. So there's 3 players on the Soviet Union.
Another German armor division just got encircled, so some more
Okay.
good news for the Soviets. However, they are
Those are bad
starting to
news.
lose
That's bad news.
their fuel, which is all down here. So the Romanians are steadily biting in.
Yeah.
And that is very bad news for the Soviet light divisions if they lose all this fuel.
Yeah. And just to clarify here, if you're wondering what is sounding, if you get some disturbing sounds into our microphones, we just got the Swedish summer rain just pouring down on us and on the roof. So that might be the disturbance if you hear it in sound.
If I were the Axis right now, I would push a lot harder down here in
Yeah. To
towards
get the
Baku,
oil. Yeah.
because if they capture the last Soviet oil here, we should see if these are moving in or moving out. The Soviets have realized the danger. They are moving divisions in,
Yeah.
moving some divisions out.
Yeah.
But I would put more than these Balkan troops here because this could really.
But it seems from an Axis perspective that it's not that many troops down there trying to claim and clean up Baku. It looked
They
like...
are actually getting Lend-Lease in on fuel. The Soviets.
Yeah, okay.
They have a lot of air power.
They have a lot of air power, a lot of
That's
staying power.
swallows here.
Oh, that's a lot of...
No, but small, steady encirclements.
Yeah,
Actually, encirclements both ways now, which is
Yeah.
something new for the Eastern Front.
yeah.
But we can see here that the the Axis troops are moving steadily northwards.
Yeah, but also in this, you might not think that, oh, they take 3 or 4 German divisions or 7 German infantry divisions, but for the morale boost of being on the Soviet side where you've been losing and losing and losing and losing, just getting those small surrounds can actually improve a lot of the morale and get you to hang in there for a bit more, a bit longer.
They're training something like 8 or 7 to 1 in casualties.
Yeah, seems historically correct.
Not far off.
Not far off.
Japan is now being booted out of Australia.
Okay. Japan is getting kicked out of Australia. Probably, hopefully, it's not losing any troops. But then again, as we said, or as we said in the interview with Ian, Mattias, who plays Australia, he is really an attack dog. And also Siam has some troops encircled up.
Yeah, it seems like the Allies are going on the offensive
Yeah,
in Burma,
they're
in
pushing.
towards Siam.
Yeah, but then again, seeing this, yeah, it's good. They're pushing the Asia axis. Is it really helping the Soviets?
The Asia axis isn't helping the Soviets at all, but it helps the Euro axis, which in turn could help. And we see in North Africa that they have pushed up towards the Italian defense line, actually broken the Italian defensive line. So here we should see Italians trying to reemerge. These South African heavies are really coming into their own.
Yeah, they're coming in clutch. Is he going to be able... Oh, and a naval battle outside.
Let's see.
Yeah. American carrier. Oh, this is...
I don't think the Italians are not happy about seeing.
No.
But I know how to trade. Okay, so 4 heavy cruisers for the UK, 11 destroyers, 3 light cruisers and a destroyer. A tie, I would say.
Yeah, a tie. But
they will lose divisions here.
yeah,
because
and
will be able
they
to-
know when they're moving out, they're getting raided.
Yep.
Yep. So here we have it again.
It It's time for the Italians to leave
Yeah.
North Africa, I'd say.
Yeah, and cruiser against cruiser. 2. The Italians are actually, from the looks of it, coming out on top in these naval engagements. But it's hard to say.
Very close to the tie, I'd say.
Yeah, but it's a lot of escorts. But then again, battleship.
Yep.
Yeah. And let's see if they
And I
might be able-
would want to get that Italian
know.
Navy into repair.
Yeah, and also here they catch convoys. 24 convoys.
Yep.
Yeah.
We have had one actual naval engagement.
Okay, we have had a naval engagement in the Pacific. Let's turn over to that.
Yeah, so as you can see, the Japanese lost a super heavy. They had a engagement between their actual fleet, or one of their actual fleets, and the American fleets. The Americans lost a bunch of bomber planes, but it cost Japan a super heavy and a destroyer, as well as 2 bomber planes. But those super heavies are super expensive, so it actually... Yes.
Yeah.
So it's still not a decisive battle, but it costs them. And another battle is happening right now, as you can see up on screen. We don't know what it's going to cost, but they are still trading at Arafura. So, yeah, they are backing out. They're managing to get out of this one. But we're going to have to keep our eyes on this because, there are going to be a bunch more of these, I think.
Yeah.
At the same time, Japan is also snaking with a few infantry divisions, still lacking good supply hubs, but they are managing to hurt Australia a bit.
Yeah, snaking around in Australia. I think we're going to go back to the Eastern Front
Yes,
here.
because we've seen the Soviets getting hit with a few more minor encirclements down here. And say 10 or 20 divisions. They are now at, it's still 3.3 million field and manpower. The big thing is that they lost the oil, and then for some reason, which I don't know, we were looking at North Africa, it seems like the Axis kind of backed out of the southwards offensive in the Balkans.
But I mean, they still have the field and manpower. But if you go back to the Soviets real quick here, to see, this was up at 6 or 7 when war began.
Yep.
Yep. So
we're up more than 4
Yeah.
million lost. They are trading a bit better with the Axis right now. Once again, an important
Rosen.
decisive thing from the Mongolians.
He's going back.
Conquering the fuel.
Yeah, he's going back, taking Baku.
So not really sure why the Romanians backed out, if they got a bloody nose and felt that, we need to get out of here.
But,
maybe reinforce the Romanians, because if the biggest thing they could do right now is just conquering that oil.
But they are so close on surrendering Moscow.
That's a coup. But
then again,
I'm not sure. I mean, they're not close to capping the Soviet Union, so just get that oil.
Yeah, Stalingrad stands, which is good for the Soviets. The more of those decisions they get, the better it is.
If we're talking about things that are really good for the Soviets, I mean, they still have Leningrad, Moscow, Stalingrad, and they've almost reconquered the oil.
Yep, and I have to hand it to Rosen here, being quick on his toes, seeing the gaps, exploiting it, taking things back. I mean, that is really good.
I do think he has lost some
I think so
mobile
too.
divisions, but he's managed to keep his fighting strength effective.
He's lacking some trucks and some radios, but he's still an effective fighting force.
Yeah, and they actually have a more stable front line, even though it's thin. Let's look at German armor, because I think that might be what's slowing them down. No, they still have more than 20.
But they've lost one. They had 19.
Yeah, but that happened the last time we looked at it.
But here's another round. That's
more encirclements.
Yeah. And are these? Yeah, they're not.
I don't think they're getting those out. These are digging. These Axis troops are digging in.
Yeah, and slowly
Not
chipping
fun for
away.
the Soviets. I still maintain that I think they should have let go of Leningrad.
If Simon, as Finland, decides to push on Leningrad, he should be able to break that. Yeah. So,
but these are also, half of these are German garrison divisions. And I don't think the Finnish divisions are the crap. But take that airfield.
Take the airfield. Get an air base. Yeah.
You might now say that we could redistribute some garrison divisions defending Finland.
Yeah.
But the Finns are basically not an offensive force. They're frontline maintaining troops at best.
Yeah.
A lot of action from the other Axis miners though.
Yeah.
We just saw Hungary executing an encirclement here. Nicely done, I'd say.
Yeah, and Vendedilis has said, if the Soviets lose Baku for long enough, Soviet tanks could soon run out of fuel
Precisely
and then
right.
move only at 40% of their full speed. Precisely right. That's why it's so important what Rosen, as Mongolia, is doing down south, retaking that.
What he did was basically just drive a truck into Baku, drive it the hell out of there.
Yeah, came back, planted a flag, left.
And we're finally seeing German troops moving into the Caucasus.
Yeah.
Which is good because we now have a Soviet counteroffensive down here. I mean, this is not a well-maintained Axis front line either. I don't know what they're doing down south. They seem to be so sucked into these titanic
Fall of
battles.
Moscow. Fall of Moscow. But can they retake it? But that's also a huge problem because Moscow was the primary supply hub for the Soviets.
I do think that the Germans got a bit overextended with their garrisons.
Yeah, they have.
So it's not a perfect.
It's not a perfect
front line for them. It's quite a thin front line,
as it usually gets on the Eastern Front.
Yeah. But still, they had a lot of garrison divisions, but not enough because they're getting pushed by quite crappy Soviet divisions.
Yeah, but I would still like to see the Finns starting to move, and here they cut it off.
And this has degenerated into...
Here it comes, the ping with, watch out, Rosen coming in clutch.
I don't think they are headed in there.
Yeah. Bulgaria's just leaving. Yeah, and now it's going back down again. Yeah. But, yeah.
So this has degenerated into a slog where basically mobile divisions are just encircling thinly spread garrison divisions on both sides.
Yep, that's what's happening.
So the Soviets have a decent front line up north.
Yeah.
Something less than that down south. But since the Axis are even more thinly spread, they are actually managing to push back right now. An incredible feat, I would have to say.
Yep, really incredible. I think also that Andreas went for a drink round. Do you need anything, or are you
sitting ready?
You're sitting firm. So that and this is usually what happens on the Eastern Front. It devolves into a slog. Really good early game from Germany, early Barb game, but they're pushing closer to that 43.
And now we're seeing something that actually surprised me, is that their front line is so...
it's...
Basically, we have a Soviet mass attack that is actually kind of working. Because the Axis front line is way too thin.
Yeah, I'm just gonna...
And wherever the German armor is, they are managing to encircle divisions, but they can't be everywhere at once, so it's still moving backwards.
Yeah. How are the Spanish troops faring? Are they still here?
Let's see.
Yeah,
they have 8 divisions.
he's around Moscow and up towards Leningrad. He's pushing.
They're still holding Moscow. So basically, I think right now, the next team that pulls off a major encirclement might be the one that's coming out on top in 1942.
Yeah.
But still, I'd still say it's a crap situation for the Comintern, but...
Yeah, it's getting more and more stabilized. But I would like and love to see some more offensive moves from Finland. Start pushing.
They have nothing to push with.
No, I know, but do something just to alleviate kind of the pressure. Because there's just 4 divisions around Leningrad.
I lied to you before, they're not getting Lend-Lease in, of course. They're still Lend-Leasing fuel out. They're Lend-Leasing trucks to the Mongolians.
Yeah.
Let's look at their production. They have converted a lot of it into basic equipment. Look at these deficits
on the light tanks.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
They're trying to get a lot more, but they will be getting
they will be getting
huge batch, 44 divisions of garrisons out. This is really good for the Soviets.
Yeah.
This speaks for them, because I do not think that the Germans are putting more garrisons on the line, and right now that's a problem for both sides, that their front line is just too thin.
But now would be a great time.
Germany also has just 8.9 million men fielded.
Yeah.
And that is not a lot. And I don't think that the Balkan Rose can make up those numbers.
No. I don't think so either. No, they're all...
I really like these Hungarian divisions. They're good on the northern eastern
Yeah,
front,
they are.
but
Yeah, Bulgaria still has a huge... Maybe in this case, yeah, Bulgaria should give some of its manpower over to Germany to use for garrisons so Germany can get it back and pump out more infantry divisions.
I'm guessing it's the equipment that's the problem for the Germans.
I would guess so. Yeah, they're also lacking squad weapons and infantry. Yeah, but not in a huge number.
No, but at this point, maybe just pull down the air a bit, actually.
Yeah.
The Allies have managed to close off the North African front.
Yep.
So we might actually, depending on what we're seeing here, and they will
They
throw out the
will
Vichy.
clean up AI
It's
vision.
not a good D-Day wall.
No.
The Italians have divisions. I wouldn't say there's a fantastic D-Day wall either.
No.
But they could move some divisions around.
It could do something.
What the Germans need to do is somehow get more tanks. You know what? I would actually pull the fighters down a bit.
Yeah. Pull down
They have
the
a
fighters.
lot of Panzer IVs just sitting there.
Yeah.
They do not need to produce more of these tanks if they're not going to produce more divisions.
If they're not pumping out divisions, stop producing it. Because they're not going to leave.
At least just don't go up. Go up on infantry equipment, which is what you're lacking.
Because you're lacking garrisons, you're lacking things to
Infantry
stabilize the line.
support, get a decent front line in because this is too shaky.
It is.
But I maintain that the next team that manages a major encirclement might be the one
Clutching this. And it seems that the Axis will survive down in the Caucasus. But look at how thin this is everywhere.
We're only 4 months off 1943.
But here it might come.
Yep. We'll see. But the Soviets might be able to break out of this one.
Yeah, might be able to come push that. Yeah, it's just one tank against 4. Yeah.
Move one of these.
Yeah, move up. They're not doing that. No. And now probably gonna get counter pushed, and they're losing that, so that tank will have to retreat. Yeah. I'm thinking here, Little Tiger is saying Axis is falling apart, Japan falling, Italy falling, Germany will fall apart as soon as there is a D-Day landing. Yeah, I wouldn't say that Japan is falling apart as of now. I wouldn't say
But they haven't managed their objectives.
No, their objectives haven't been done. And the D-Day can really change this, because then you know that Germany will need to pull off troops and especially tanks.
The question is what D-Day?
Yeah, and where?
Because right now I'm not seeing anyone preparing
I'm
for
not seeing anything
a
like that.
D-Day who has...
But I want to see this when we now have this kind of, as Liv said, come on, do something. In the minds of do something, I would like to check in with Andreas and see what is the USA doing, what is the situation in the Pacific and Japan.
Well, so first off, you're probably not going to get any big decisive naval battles because Japan has drawn back all of their remaining super heavies back to essentially the area around the main island. They still have green water in most of the area, but it's mostly just destroyers and the American fleet just not going out to fight them. So they have lost a ton of submarines, but it's mostly bad submarines, and they have lost a bunch of destroyers, but it's mostly cheap destroyers. Not that much has happened. What is interesting is that they did land and they were then booted out of Australia. So I guess order is restored in Australia.
Celebratory scenes from Australia that have kicked out the Japanese invasions. So good one, Bruce. Thank you, Bruce, so to say. We also have this, Wendy is actually saying something important here with a maintenance support company in a division that attacks enemy pockets can pull in a large amount of infantry equipment. Yes, I agree with that. That is something that could have been done. And the Finns have done what I asked for them. Push.
Yeah, and finally you got a pocket where it's not a huge amount of Soviet divisions, but it's the last of the Soviet mobile divisions, which is a catastrophe for them. Which means that they stabilized the Caucasus.
Yeah.
They've thrown out the Axis basically from the Caucasus. We're back in Ukraine.
Stabilize the north.
But when that, and we said you should have left Leningrad a while ago. They held on for a long time. They managed to push back even.
Now
they had a catastrophic round.
So
and I think that, if I'm not mistaken, that is the last of the Soviet mobile divisions.
Yep.
So when this goes, the Soviets are down to just garrisons. They have no mobile divisions coming out.
Bless you. Sorry, our technicians is.
We are down to 1.7 fielded million fielded Soviet manpower.
And how many does the German Reich have fielded?
Wait for it.
Yeah.
I was just wanted to check the Mongolians. The Mongolians still have 10.
Yeah, they have their
They
10.
are now the only mobile divisions for the Comintern. The Germans are also going down. They're down to 16 good Panzer divisions.
How many men do they have fielded?
1.8. So they're still very low, but
yeah, but they're still ahead then, compared to the Soviets.
now they are ahead for the first time against the Soviets. But they are, and they're closing their deficit on infantry equipment. They're still on support equipment, but they need to shift this around they can get more, more divisions out.
They do.
So they're low on SF, they're low on it, but they are feeling a huge deficit in tanks.
Yeah.
So just if you just get the infantry equipment, they can push out quite a lot of tanks. They have plenty manpower.
But here we have something I want to throw to you. We got it from Wendy. If the Romanians have lost all the seaports that they conquered in the Eastern Black Sea, then Baku is an excellent defensive position for the Soviets. Would you agree with that? To hunker down in Baku, around the mountains, and just hold it. I
mean, the problem is the best defensive line is south of Baku, and you got to look at the victory points because.
How many collabs?
They have collabs. It's just they have 80% collaboration.
Oh, that's a lot. I think that's 3 collabs then, if they have. Yep. And it's a lot of casualties for the Union of Soviet Socialists. And now the Northern Front.
I mean,
they're still alive in the pocket.
They are far off capitulating. But I do think that they don't have any focuses that will spawn a lot of troops. They've done divisions under training, but
just look at these armies.
Mobilized Gulag workers. Yeah, they get some Gulag workers out here.
Yeah, but allowing
mainly that gives them factories, not divisions.
And they get 4 yearly. But I mean, just look at these armies down here. Just look at the numbers. These were full armies when we started.
Yeah. So I think that I said that the next big surround might give guys a decisive advantage. The Axis were shaken, but with that huge surround up around Leningrad.
And there's another surround over here. Yeah.
And I think that the Soviets are...
Yeah. They're ticking down. 1.4 now.
Bar a miracle, they should be out of this.
They should.
Because they don't have a decent front line
down here.
Look
at the snake over there.
More surrounds. And they just can't afford to lose this many frontline divisions.
Just look at the snake here from the Germans.
Absolutely.
And the Spaniards coming in clutch. I mean, it's a dire situation for the Soviets. I would like to see here from Andreas. Have you been listening into the Allied chat? What are they saying? How's the mood?
So the Allies are furiously microing the Pacific and the Indochina, and they are happy. They're really happy. They've been trying to take Singapore for a while, not really successful, but they are pushing back on the islands, and they are raiding.
Sorry, they're happy. Have they looked at the Eastern Front?
I don't think so. No, because I think there's a bunch of tunnel vision on all the nice naval raiding, convoy raiding and stuff going on in the Pacific. So the chat is entirely focused on the Pacific right now. They might be called back to the Eastern Front sometime soon, though.
Yeah, and we talked about because I think that it might be that the Soviets were getting a bit, optimistic. A few months ago when they were feeling that we're pushing the front line, we're getting divisions out.
Yeah. We're holding
the situation reversed again.
Reverse card.
We talked earlier in the day about the hidden trap of the Euro allies getting bogged down in North Africa. Even if you win it, you spend too long winning it, not really pulling divisions away from the Eastern Front. What we're seeing is that the allies are slowly taking over North Africa, ground that is next to worthless
Yeah, and I mean, I think Ugis is pretty happy sitting in Italy and just, take North
He
Africa.
should be.
Yeah.
I mean, as a team player, he should absolutely be happy with this. I don't think he lost too many
No, I don't
divisions.
think
He lost divisions when he
Yeah,
lost
he
North
did,
Africa.
he did.
But, I mean, he has 450,000 casualties. That's not catastrophic.
No.
Let's look at fielded manpower for the Italians.
Yeah.
He has 1.2 million in the field. That's not great, but
Almost
they're
as
good
much
divisions.
almost as much as the Soviets have. So I mean, at
At this point, he's desperately behind on infantry equipment, on radios, and a bit behind on infantry equipment. But he's training troops. He's sitting pretty in Italy.
Yeah.
He should be having more of an invasion offense in the Balkans here. But on the other hand, there is no D-Day
Preparation.
coming.
No.
The Brits don't have
No.
good divisions that they can push into that. The US have 15 or 20 Marines, which are in the Pacific.
Yeah. So Ian's plan of D-Day early 43, we won't see that.
No, and early 43 is, I'm sorry, it's too late.
It's too late. It is. And I mean, I also have to hand it here, looking at all this, I have to also give it to Stationary, Adam, SeaCrown, and Kisselera playing as the Asia Axis. They are doing their job. They're holding on to things. They're being an annoying thorn. They've somewhat stabilized Siam. They are also keeping the whole of the US occupied here,
Yeah.
which is great.
I mean, basically, Japan is right now playing almost historical.
yeah, almost.
Slightly better, I'd say.
Yeah.
And all the while, we have a Soviet Union that is collapsing, which means that we have a decent show for the Axis in the Pacific. I'm sure they're not perfectly happy, but they are not collapsing in any sense of the word. They're getting slowly pushed back.
Yeah.
While
Look at
the
Snake
Axis
from
is
Finland.
winning
Yeah.
Europe.
Yeah.
Even the Finns have started moving. That's how dire the situation is for the Soviets.
And I mean, I have to give it to Simon. He was late. I said, attack, attack, attack. But when he did, we got that surround. We got that northern surround.
It's very much that when the Axis got round to attacking from the south, he managed to...
No, I'm going to give this all to Finland. All to Finland.
What I'm going to give to Finland is sometimes all you need to do is just don't die.
Don't die and hold on.
And Simon hasn't died.
Nope, he hasn't. So, kudos to him. No.
We should have a cutscene of happy Finns.
Is there such a thing?
Apparently not.
Apparently not. No.
Of course there are happy Finns.
Yeah, but also they're snaking down in Baku again, the Axis.
Yeah, and this is way too late.
Yeah, yeah.
They could have done this about 8 months ago.
Yeah, but now they're going to take the oil and probably swing up.
Yeah, and I mean, that's just a nail in the coffin because the Soviet Union doesn't have any mobile troops.
How close
are they on air? Let's try and get that.
Yeah. How close also, when you're looking at Germany afterwards, they have a lot of fighters.
The Germans have a lot of fighters.
Yeah, just one thing I would like you to check. How close are they to achieving autarky when they get the oil? Moment, bitte.
As I mean, the Soviets do have a lot of fighters.
They do. But
the question is why? Because now they have a lot of fighters, and they basically, they can get Green Iron 1 low prioritized zone.
Yeah, because I think now, even if he's built up, he won't. I don't think he has the airport to support that. No, 1500. No.
Now, but he's pushed back so far.
Yeah.
So that was his kind of last reserve airfield.
Yeah, it was.
So he's overstacked on the fighters he have.
Yeah.
He's going to lose. I mean, he has the fuel for it.
He has the fuel for it. But
good news for the Soviets.
Yeah. Hooray! We have fuel. I want to check in with Andreas. Have you been looking into the Comintern chat? How is the mood over there? If they're in a separate chat, or are they still in the Allies?
They are in a separate chat, and I'm listening at it right now, but it's silent as the grave.
That's not a great thing to have, to hear that it's no communication. Even though they're losing and it's a dire situation, you want some kind of communication. You need someone trying to lift the spirits and having a plan with, go here, pull back to this, we need to reinforce here. Or at least, or someone going over and shouting on the Allies, what are you doing? And taking Iwo Jima doesn't help.
We have now noticed that there is a push coming from Stalingrad.
Push coming. Yeah, Stalingrad is getting pushed. Maybe we can take a look at
Yes.
that.
They are not meeting the autarky goals, but I think they should.
Is that a surround up there? Is that another one? No, but soon. Soon.
And we can see here that Stalingrad is going.
Yeah, if they get this surround.
They've lost tank divisions. They are still losing a tank division or two here or there. But I do think that the Germans have been quite disciplined with their tank divisions.
They have.
Not trying to achieve too large encirclements. Sometimes they should have been a bit more aggressive.
Yeah.
But on the whole, I mean, they haven't thrown away their tank divisions.
I think, and now Gidon is hunting the Mongolians.
Rosen
desperately trying to get out of this. Come on, little Mongolians, you can do this. Come on, Rosen. Get to safety. Get to safety, Rosen. For the spirit of Genghis. Oh yeah, and their counterattack. Yeah, he will get out. He will get out.
We can also see that I think we found the major. Now the Soviets are pulling back to fallback lines.
Yeah, no.
Bit late in the game for that, boys.
Yep, bit late. But they're doing it at least.
I'm not sure that they have the victory points to fall back that far though.
No, but
they are
especially with the collaboration. And Kazan has fallen.
8 victory points away from capitulating.
Kazan has fallen. Stalingrad will fall.
Stalingrad is a lot of that as well.
But then again, I want to give something, and that this is directed to the whole of our community. People do not throw in the towel and say, "Oh, screw this, I'm leaving." We fight to the last, and we try to give a good fight as we go. And I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
But the Rosen Mongols, they're now down to 7 divisions. They are horribly supplied.
Oh yeah. But he's trying.
God love him. He's still trying to get us around.
He might get it. He might get it.
He might actually surround. This Grenzwacht division.
Yeah, but it's going to be a bad day for that Grenzwacht. No, he's pulling back. But you have to give it to Rosen. He is an annoying thorn in your side. But that's also the only mobile divisions the Soviet Union have.
And has had for a while.
Yeah.
We can see here the Finns are advancing against no opposition. It's basically just how quickly they can march.
In Kargapol. Yeah.
But with these Soviet, I mean, they do get a bit more manpower is maybe go up on conscription.
Yeah, maybe go up a bit.
Yeah, it's going to be a year or maybe a year and a half before the Finns can start thinking about fielding more divisions. Maybe stop training these and, get a decent division out. Yeah. This is... We are paused for some reason.
Yeah, we're paused. Apparently, Italy asked for a 5-minute pause, and it's been granted. Yeah, for some reason, don't know why. But we have from Mike Mandalorian, not rage quitting make this game a lot better. That's true. Losing with grace is also a skill, and I 100% agree with you.
I'm not sure if we're listening to the Soviet chat that we could say that it's with grace.
It was silent as the grave.
But it's with grit.
Yeah, it's with grit. And Wendy has said, once Gorky and Kazan fall, there's usually not much time, if any, remaining for the Soviets. No. And there's not coming in. No D-Day is coming.
Nope.
No. But I think the Allies will want to try and fight this and get a D-Day for this.
I should think so.
Because
I think it depends on what happens because, I mean, they're nowhere close to capping Japan. Andreas, the Japanese Navy is still alive and kicking?
Yes, and they actually managed to sink one of the battleship carriers as well as a regular battleship from the United States just now.
If we're looking at it, the Japanese have lost a lot of men.
Yeah.
And a lot of ships. Like all the ships they have lost almost, I think, 60 subs and as many destroyers.
Yeah.
But all the heavy stuff they need to defend and actually engage in one major battle is still out there, so they can't really be forced to surrender or forced to accept naval invasions. They can still prevent naval invasions to all the important territories. So this is going to be a slog.
Yeah, it's going to be a slog. But then again, looking at the home islands, there's not much there. There's nothing there.
No?
No.
4 super heavy carriers outside. Do they
But
need it?
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest here, because we know the Asia Axis plan,
Yeah.
and the front line is in Burma.
Yeah.
It's a slog in Burma, but their whole plan was, we're putting our defensive line here,
Yeah.
and we're holding it. And this has also soaked up a lot of Allied attention. We've had Canadian tanks here.
Yeah.
They're still here. They should be in Europe. I mean, trying to capture Thailand is not going to win the game.
Nope.
These guys should be in France.
They should be,
about now?
they should be in France or at least in Dover.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Because, let me remind you, it's not like the Germans have a super competent D-Day wall. These are...
the same.
span ring.
They're also training. Yeah. So I mean, this is something. Sorry, I just saw a precursor 06. Looks like global warming has caused Finland to melt over the Soviets. Yeah.
I think it's basically that which
Yeah.
pushed them down towards Leningrad.
Yeah. But there's not much time left for the Soviets.
No,
No. And
they're on the clock.
And this could potentially be, I mean, we talked about this. This is the 5th game for 2025. It's the 25th game since January 2023. It's 12-12. The Allies have had back-to-back victories, but it seems, as of now, as an Axis victory here. Because taking out the Soviet Union is huge.
I should say, what the Soviet Union does have is they don't have huge deficits.
No.
They still hold Stalingrad.
Yeah.
It's going to be a while before they actually sort out their infrastructure enough to actually push them off it, I
Yep.
should think.
But what they're doing over here, if you go back here, they're pulling back. They are going to lose some smaller victory points.
Yeah, and this defensive line is basically almost compromised already.
Yeah, basically.
And
And
it ends here.
yeah, and the Finns are walking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's very thin in the south.
Yeah, and the oil is almost gone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, they are going to lose.
yeah, yeah.
The question is how long it takes. They will make it into 1943.
They will. They will. Weren't they promised a D-Day early 43?
I don't think anyone was promised
no.
D-Day.
It was an objective.
Ian on UK said he was pushing for a D-Day in
Yeah.
early 43.
But
which-
it doesn't seem that he will get that.
No, we can say Ian was right.
Ian was right. You need it. You would have needed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know that we've said this on the cast before, but so much of this game boils down to the Eastern Front.
Yeah,
and I think that this is something that should be hammered into the Allies, is that basically everything you do is to try and alleviate the Eastern Front, make sure that it doesn't collapse, pull pressure off of it, and get boots on the ground in Europe.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be a full-scale D-Day. It doesn't need to be in Western France, but Italy, Balkans, Spain, I think they can be quite happy, the Axis, that they don't have, that Spain wouldn't volunteer.
Yeah.
It means that
I didn't
there's
think
no
they
room to
would
make-
do that. I
No,
don't think
me neither. Especially when they actually trained.
trained garrison division. But Soliv actually said something here. We did have one game where the Soviets were like 20 days away from capping when D-Day came and the Axis crumbled. Yes, I know. I was playing the Soviet Union that time, but that was, I would say we were in a better situation. We had more troops and we had pushing potential. The only pushing potential the Soviets now have are the Mongolians, basically.
Yeah.
And
They
they're-
do have one motorized division.
Oh, they have. How is the studio division going? We're dead,
gone.
right? Yeah.
That's why they're in this situation.
Yep. Yep.
You sacrificed the eternal glory of the studio, and this is what happens.
F in chat for the glorious studio division from the Soviet Union. Yeah, we found the reason here. What happened? As long as that held on, there was a fighting chance. But now, sorry, F in chat. F in chat. Yeah, but it's a dire situation. But do we see? Yeah.
Hey,
No, it's an
Yeah.
yeah.
British fleet. Let's look at the Italian Navy if that's still around here somewhere. Sorry if we missed action in the Mediterranean. It looks like the Italians have gotten smashed at some point. Which is, I mean, scoreboard for the UK, bad for the Italians, but I mean, not not decisive at this point.
No, and he has his almost all of his army intact. And now we see some FN chats for the studio division and John Brothers. Respect for the studio division. Yeah, yeah, big respect for it. But it is gone. So
what? Just on the Italian Navy, because say the Soviet Union caps in 1943, Japan hangs on, is slowly kind of pushed back. What do you think the Axis will do, or what would you do if you were Germany after Soviet cap?
I would rush, or not rush, but I will divert some troops to D-Day Wall to keep that.
Yeah.
I would strengthen Europe, but I will also push in with my tanks into Iraq. Declare that war, come from the other side, maybe get the Italians to do something to alleviate the... Iran is Iran?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would take that out and then come to India from the other side. They have to move troops on there.
Because what we
alleviate
should
the
say,
pressure.
this situation in Burma turns on its head if we have German panzers in Iran.
Especially if German panzers come Iran and Iraq and split it. Yeah. That's going to be hard.
And we have seen that these, where are they? South African tanks.
They are good tanks. They are really good tanks. But then again, having this, they've planned a naval invasion of Sardinia. Okay. Congrats, you have an island in the Mediterranean.
Yeah, but now we're starting to see, I mean, something on
Yeah, at least something.
French Marines. Let's look at the French Marines.
Let's look at Remmefors Marines.
I just want to see where the rest of...
Oh, I think he's been cleaning up. Yeah.
It's a very, it's not the best use of South African heavy tanks cleaning up.
I don't think he's cleaning
North
up. I think
Africa.
he's going to Casablanca to go
Yeah, but
to...
this is what he has been doing.
Yeah, but I think he's going to the UK by going to Casablanca.
And sadly, that also means that
Yeah.
the poor logistics in North Africa means that we now have deficit of South African heavies.
How does the German Navy and raiding Navy how are they outside of Africa? Or where are they?
There's some of the Atlantic.
Yeah, okay.
Not the best.
No, not. It's the early fleet.
These are just.
But where are the
here.
panzer ships?
Aren't these panzer ships?
Those are subs. And
These are
those
still
subs.
trying to
Yeah.
contest Cape Verde.
Yeah. Okay, so nothing is really raiding the African coast, but here we have something raiding, but they can just sail past that. Yeah. So, yeah.
So not a
unmolested.
huge impact naval-wise from Germany.
No. But then again, huge impact from Germany on the Eastern Front.
Yeah, this is the German impact.
Yeah, that's the German impact.
And this is what Germany needs to do.
Yep. And I would
Win the Eastern Front.
I would like to say that. Oh, and here we go again. Here we go again. And I'm not going to sing that because I don't want to be taken down. Even though Andreas said if you sing it badly enough, it's okay. But I would spare you and my own ears from this.
And this also, I mean, we can see that Soviets are holding
Barely.
just around Stalingrad.
Yeah.
But they are being overrun on the
Yeah,
flanks.
they are.
Which means that this is just, I mean, it's a question of time.
It is. It is a question of time. And
Have we been in this situation multiple times?
Multiple times.
I have drawn up this front line myself.
Yeah. Or
You just try to lose
fallback
with
line.
grace.
Yeah. Hoping for
Yeah.
the Allied
But
miracle. that
right
is
about now,
Yeah. Oh, and there goes. Yeah, it's just 2 divisions, but it's 2 divisions you can't afford to lose. And that's a 3rd division. Yeah, they're losing. Yeah, and that's another 6 division.
and here we see that they're
No, they're holding that one.
holding that one.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the attacks up here. They're
Yeah.
sorting out these pockets.
Yeah.
Once they get over these rivers, Stalingrad is unfeasible. I don't know why they're trying to attack Stalingrad head on.
No, just pincer it, let it starve, kill it. But what is the capital right now for the Soviets? It's not Stalingrad, it's...
Chelyabinsk.
Which is good for the Soviets because supply is coming from there. So, yeah.
Actually, not horribly supplied, except for
No,
actually really decently supplied.
They don't have enough troops.
No, but But they still have north of 1 million troops. This is still marks of good players that even in this situation,
They
they're
have
managing
troops.
to sort out the supplies mostly.
Yeah, most of the times they've done that. I actually want to. Maybe we can get a small little surround up there, but
I don't think we need to check this or keep our eyes on this part.
No, I would actually like to
Warriors
go
in front.
over to.
Just to say they're crossing the river here,
Yeah.
which means that sooner or later Stalingrad will be in as well.
But I want to check over with Andreas. What's the news in the Pacific?
No news from the Pacific. It's pretty much locked down. India's pushing very slowly into Siam. I mean, it's clear that the Allies are almost certainly going to win unless they have a catastrophic fleet battle. It's just too slow.
So they might win in the Pacific, but losing the Soviets contra winning the Pacific. Yeah, and Japan is still here.
Yeah, but it's also a question of because if they can cap the Soviets soon, start moving down here, we're already seeing that they're attacking here. So the Spanish have started.
Yeah, they've started
rolling
to move
through,
down. Yeah.
Which means that the Indians
Yeah,
will have to look towards Pakistan.
and I'm wondering
Balochistan.
because it's just Greek divisions and Iranian divisions here. Some British divisions.
Yeah.
Yeah, but have they noticed?
I mean, they must have.
They must have. They surely
Let's
they
look at
must have.
India.
But I think India.
I mean, they're not moving troops away, and at this point, I would kind of thin out these port garrisons and start putting up a front line because you can hold the front line here for quite a bit.
And especially, you probably know, looking from the sea zone, you know where the Japanese Navy is, and it's, if I'm not mistaken, around the home islands.
This is also quite a large source of oil,
Yeah,
so good for the access.
yeah. The
Not
price.
so good for.
No. But could we maybe take a quick check and see what troops have the U.S. fielded?
I just wanted to check.
Yeah, sure.
Germany still have a ways to go before achieving autarky.
Yeah, you always have it. You don't have to look at that. You always have it in the little red. But
In the little red.
yeah, in mouse little red. There you have it. But what kind of forces do they have? They are getting some tanks out. But as of now, yeah, they have tanks out. They have Marines out. How good are these tanks? They're mechanized.
Well, it's 1943.
Yeah. But they're mechanized here.
Yeah.
Those
Not
tanks,
perfect.
but those tanks and those Marines, I would love them in Dover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are moving, but I don't think they're moving to Dover.
No.
They have gotten a nuclear research facility up.
Oh, I don't think Germany has started that, right?
We'll check on that in just a little bit.
No nukes. Yeah. So, I mean, I think the Allies in the Pacific, they're playing a good game, but I will also give it to the Asia Axis, Stationary Atom, SeaCrown, and Kisselera. Playing this kind of defensive, taking one for the... Because we knew the plans. We knew it, or we know it. But they are playing... They're not giving ground easily. They are holding. They're trying to hold and being team players. I think they're sitting and counting the days up until the Soviet Union caps.
Yeah, and I do think that the Japanese are a bit stressed out because they might have to... The Canadians have finally gotten down onto the plains here in... These are forests.
Yeah.
But they are pushing through Siam. They might have to pull out of there, pull up.
Yeah. Make a defensive line in Korea or something.
Let's check on the Eastern Front.
Yeah.
Rosen, you mad bastard.
Yeah, Rosen.
It's actually not Rosen, but they are pushing
They are pushing.
in the Caucasus.
Yeah, they are. And Stalingrad is still standing, still holding.
What are the Axis doing here? Are they snake? Okay, the Finns.
Yeah,
are
he's snake.
Finns.
Yeah, he's snaking for that. The Soviet doesn't have any troops there. They can't stop that.
No, I'm guessing that's why they're doing a Hail Mary down here.
Yeah.
But they have German armor.
Yeah.
That's just gonna knock this off.
But don't attack Stalingrad head on.
Decent defensive line here, Soviets.
Yeah, but it's a decent. But capital is gone. How many?
29. They cap on 28.
Oh, this is so
they're
close.
just looking for
They're
any
looking,
city.
Yeah, and now they probably should focus
and
all
now they have the German
firepower.
armor.
Focus all firepower on Stalingrad. Yeah.
So Astrakhan might be the one that tips it.
Yeah, it might be. There might be. Yeah, and they are just moving. They are just slogging forward. Yeah. And don't worry, we are going to try and have a chat with the players after the game because we really want to know here. From a Soviet point of view, they have fought valiantly. They have fought a good fight, but they haven't really gotten the assist from the allies that they need.
No.
And I would say the build didn't match.
You can't expect it before
No.
1943, but we're not. I mean, if we have a Hail Mary,
Yeah, but
finally
we have
D-Days.
troops. Yeah, we have.
But now the Germans are starting to move in.
Yeah, the Germans are.
That would be
exercising.
hilarious if they.
They're gonna win.
Yeah, that would be
How
hilarious.
are we looking on
Yeah, they have the
naval supremacy? No
they have-
problem. Aerial supremacy?
No problem.
No problem at all.
No.
So
have-
here we see.
So this could maybe come in clutch, but it is just one victory point, one major victory point, and then the Soviets are done. And then you can shift.
28 out of 28.
Yeah, and then you can shift all those troops, all those Axis troops. But is he holding that?
Now
Is he holding that? Now the Soviets will
the
get
Axis
that
needs to
back.
find a victory point quick.
Yeah. they will.
Otherwise, the Soviets are going to have.
Mhm.
So the question, and they move it into Astrakhan. Well played, Soviets.
Well played.
Fucking played.
Yeah, well played. Sneaky devils. Never underestimate brothers or Comrade Stalin.
I'm still not going to give it a well played game, but lots of heart.
Yeah, lots of heart and some well played. But there are some surrounds and all that. And these kind of D-Days, they need to start firing. Because now German troops
Germans
are
have stopped exercising.
Yeah, they're so confident. I love to see.
Maybe a bit too confident.
Yeah.
Where are all your armor divisions? How?
Where are they? How much does he have in stockpile? He has
5,000
5,000!
tanks!
Train some more! Please! Or just,
Has
you
he
know...
at least. No, he's upped his game on
Yeah, he
infantry
has.
equipment a bit.
Yeah, and we have Wendy here. If the Soviet Union falls, then 5 days
I was
after...
blowing squad weapons instead.
Yeah, but if the Soviet Union falls, then 5 days after the peace treaty, the Soviet rail system will be back in order and Japan can import some oil from the former Soviet Union under new Romanian or German owners. That is actually a very good point.
The Soviets are up to 30 victory points because
Yeah,
Finns snaking.
Finns are dying. But then again... yeah. But I think that the
And
Germans...
that's the supply for Stalingrad if they just move over here.
Yeah, if they take it, they're gonna cut it. But the Germans know what's coming. They've seen it. They know what's coming. They really do. So this is really exciting, actually, to see. But I'm going to check in since it went up a bit, the victory points again.
Yeah.
I'm going to check in with Andreas on the Pacific front and the US front. Is it still no news?
We actually have US Marines in the UK. I'm just going to say that.
Thank you.
Yeah, the United States has pulled back to a large extent to prep for D-Day, but the entirety of the sea above Borneo, essentially, and Guinea is still Japanese. What I would say is that the Pacific is just stabilized.
In the Pacific, nothing new, basically.
We can have a quick check to see if the United States has lost anything significant. Nope. Nothing significant, so no, everything is just a stalemate.
Yeah. We also have a question here that I want to direct to you before we go into the D-Day preparation. From John Brothers. Some of the division have gold battalions instead of the Norman green. What does the gold color represent? I'm imagining you're looking at the garrison divisions, because the garrison divisions are more golden than green.
Yeah.
So basically, it's a garrison division. They have some better defensive stats, but they're also slower. So
Yeah, they take less supplies,
less supplies.
equipment,
Yeah.
but they are slower and worse in attack.
Yeah.
Just one interesting point here. So this D-Day is American divisions, which are not in place.
Yep.
They are still training or on boats coming over. 4 French divisions.
Yep.
Which I don't think, no, they won't land. Then it's, if I'm correct here, the South African heavy tanks.
Are they also naval invading?
Yeah, and they're not naval invading. They're naval invading on this port. I'm not sure how good heavy tanks are on amphibious operations. I might want to have those in the second line.
I would probably...
They might have a disaster if they manage to land here, but not here.
Yeah, and we also have a question here from Mike Mandalorian. Japan can't attack Soviet and capture Vladivostok. No, because we have a rule set that says that they have to take Singapore and either Australia or Raj, or it has to be 1944 before the Japanese can attack the Soviet Union, if I'm not mistaken. So no, Japan cannot attack the Soviet Union as of now. And to be completely frank, I don't think the Japanese need to attack the Soviet Union as of now. But it would be a great way to end things quickly. But
Stalingrad is finally surrounded.
yeah, it is.
It's a matter of time before it caps, and when it caps, the Soviet caps.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But they sort of fucked up because Stalingrad is the capital
Yep.
since Finland took
Yeah.
the previous one, so they do have supply.
Yeah, they do have supply, but how is the supply on the rest of the front for that?
What supply?
Horrible.
Yeah, horrible, horrible. I think we can sum it up in one rude word. Yeah. I would have loved to have a little telegram to slide over to you with one crude word.
I'm guessing the Germans have gone up. Yeah.
Yeah,
So the Soviets have, by sheer stubbornness, managed to push the Germans up to 1 million casualties against the Soviets.
yeah,
Most of that has come after the Soviets really
yeah.
lost their mobile.
Yeah.
It's just poor supply and Soviet stubbornness has killed 500,000 Germans.
Yeah, but I have to say this. Maybe that was the plan all along.
Maybe the plan was the friends we gained along the way.
Or the helmets we took. Yeah.
You have a new snake in the north.
Okay, so apparently we have a new snake in the north.
Yeah, this is basically a matter of time. I can keep my eyes on this, but
But here also, this could end the Soviets. Yeah, more than...
the Soviets are ended. The Soviets have been ended for a while.
They are not ended until they capitulate. I refuse. Yeah, no, but
they get their first, I mean, unqualified top marks of the day for this last-ditch defense on the Stalingrad line.
Yeah.
Because they shouldn't have been this hard to cap.
No, they shouldn't. And we also saw the helmet rolling through in picture. But this is, how far away are we from the D-Day?
I think that comes down to the Americans. They are moving in.
Oh, they are launching.
Oh, they should not be launching here.
No, but they're launching. And winning?
No.
No. No, they're launching piecemeal.
So the French have lost.
Winning?
This is the South African heavy tanks. If they land here,
Yeah.
it's catastrophic for them.
Yeah.
Basically, what the Germans should do
And
is
the Germans
move
are just
these
waiting.
divisions away,
Yeah, the Germans are
and you
just
can
waiting.
kill 5.
Yeah, and the Germans are just waiting. Move those port garrisons, take a step back, and yeah, and there they
There
go.
go the Soviets.
Soviet Union has capitulated, but a great showing from them. F in chat for the Soviet Union.
Could we maybe just take a second here? We will have the Soviets in for a post-game interview, but considering where we started the day, where we said it was an interesting build, we were not sure it's going to hold.
It wasn't.
A lot of things we were worried about, and I think that maybe Johannes was worried about as well, turned out to be true. I mean, the garrisons, especially for the first kind of 6 months, 6 to 8 months, just can't stack up against German armor, and it takes so much microing just to keep them alive. Not even winning, but just to keep them alive. They lost huge amounts of trained manpower, equipment.
Yeah. And I think also a bit of panic.
Oh, we got the peace deal sorted, but then I lost
You
connection
lost
to the server.
connection.
Was that just me, or did we have a massive...
Have you lost connection to server, Andreas? All right, then. We'll switch over to Andreas when...
gonna do
Now I
so.
lost it.
You lost it now. Okay.
So we had a crash after the peace deal.
Let's see if we can get some Soviets to talk to us, perhaps.
We'll try and wait for that, but I think it's a general crash here. Yeah, okay. As they say, stationary in a separate chat. host capped, game over, he gets kicked out. So that's what happened. That's what happened. That's why we lost connection. So we're going to reboot this in a bit. But we're also going to try and talk with the Soviet players. But as of now, we also have the D-Day coming in. So we're going to hold a bit on that. So, but big F.
What also had it just before the crash
Yeah.
was that the South Africans managed to land
Yeah.
beside a port with
Yeah.
heavy divisions. That's a catastrophe for them.
Yes.
Because unsupported heavy tanks in the north of France,
Well,
German armor on the next tile.
but the German armor that is on the next tile, was that the support or the support artillery? The old ones, or were they the new ones? I don't know. Probably it won't matter.
No,
No. So,
even though these are probably, I mean, tank for tank or division for division, the best tanks in the game.
yeah, but still
they're
unsupported. They're
without
surrounded.
supply.
Yeah. But we also have John Brothers who says Soviet hackers have attempted to reboot the universe. Yeah, I think that's the best the Soviet players can hope for in this instance. But also F for Papa Joe in the chat. And big F from Saxoli. We'll try and have a chat with the Soviet players after this. But we also have a lot of action left here because I don't think the Allies will just roll over and say, yeah, this game is done.
No, and now we come to the problem. When is this game done?
Well, I think depending on the rules, the important house rule is they need to cap Japan, the Allies, to keep this going, or have a stable D-Day within 6 months or something like that. I think that's kind of gentleman agreement.
And I think stable D-Day is a tall ask now that the Germans can spy from.
Okay, it seems that the Allies might be calling it. That's kind of the information I get, that the Allies are calling it. I just wait for confirmation of that.
Is that even legal?
Yeah, of course it's legal. They can call it. Soviet has capped. They haven't taken Japan. So that this might be, it might be over.
Is that even legal? No, it's illegal. Throw them in jail.
Yeah, spank them. It seems, yeah. Okay, so it seems that the UK and the US want to throw in the towel and say GG for this. So this might be over. It's over, says Badger. Badger says it's over. The Allies will capitulate. The Axis pulled one back, 3-2 in 2025, but 13 versus 12. Yeah, in the grand scheme of things. I'm going to see if we can
Wins.
Wins. I'm going to try and see if we can get some people over.
So a bit of an anticlimax. On the other hand, what we just saw, the kind of naval invasion that we missed because no one landed except the South African tanks that didn't land on port, that was, I think, the best D-Day attempt they could scrape together.
Yeah, I'm just going to see if I can get them to social for a post-game inventory.
What I would say, so, I mean, a fun game to watch, especially, I mean, we had a bit of a wavy Eastern Front. We had some very decent fleet action in the Pacific. But sadly, I think, I mean, just strategically, a horrible game from the Allies.
Yeah.
Not the Comintern. I'm talking, they got beat.
Yeah.
That happens. And as we said, there isn't a very clear meta for the Soviet Union. They tried something, didn't work out as well as they'd hoped. They fought to what, for them, I would say was, I mean, the better end.
Do you know what the biggest part here is? Boppus just got home and wanted to join. That could have been the saving grace for the Allies.
Fantastic player, though, Donis. I don't think he could turn that Eastern Front around.
I don't think so.
The real collapse is the complete inability of the Euro allies or the Western allies to get a viable D-Day in order.
Yeah.
And it's a tall order to get a viable D-Day up and running before 1st of January 1943, which is what would have been needed.
Yes.
But they weren't even close. And what they pulled together in the very, very last minute of the game.
Yeah.
So I think that the big thing, and I'm going to start analyzing this, but my feelings right now is that the big thing is that they get sucked into two strategically very unimportant fronts. Clearing out the Italians from North Africa, which has no impact on the game.
No.
I mean, you want to do it if you can. You can get back some French resources. You can get a stable hold of the Mediterranean, but they should have just pulled out their offensive divisions, leave a stable defense in Egypt, and try to get a D-Day or some kind of invasion of Europe going.
I'm gonna start checking in here because I saw Ivan starting.
Well, when you have
I saw stationary starting to.
the other thing before we get to the interview is the Burma front, which is strategically, I would say, even more unimportant.
Yeah,
and that sucked in a lot of resources.
But here we have a lot of the majors coming in here. And I would like to start to say congratulations to the Axis team. Thank you. And I would like to start with Thomas, who is representing Germany here. The Eastern Front.
The Eastern Front. It went as you expected. Yes, it did, and I think the main Germany player, Hungary, and the other Eastern European miners played very well there. I think, it went as expected. You said it sharply.
After our talk with you in the beginning of the game, you felt pretty confident, and you delivered on your confidence, so to speak. It was a slog on the Eastern Front. It started very, very good for you, but it still takes some time. Russia is a vast nation to conquer.
Yeah, completely agree. They punched back in the north and in the south a couple of times very strongly, but eventually we pulled it through.
Yeah, you came out on top. I just have to ask you one last question before I'm starting to move over to the other major players here. How worried were you for a D-Day?
When we were close to capitulating Soviets, we were increasingly worried, and we moved some divisions to the front. But still, I think in the end we had a couple of tanks there that repelled the major invasion, and that's about how it went from our side.
Yeah, big congrats to you. And I'm moving over to Badger, who fought opposite Thomas on the Eastern Front. You were a bit unsure and worried, and you didn't feel that you have had the prep that you needed for the game. How do you feel after the game? Because I think you put up a valiant fight. You did not surrender. You did not give in. You fought until the last. What are your feelings this bad sports interview questions? How do you feel right now?
I feel like when I moved back, we didn't have any communication, so I gave it like a heads up, and then we wait like a minute, and then I reorganized the whole front line. And when I did that, Petey then suddenly said that, wait for me, and then he was stuck with half of our tanks. So that was one big fuck up. The other big fuck up was that I completely forgot to put the anti-tank guns in the tank templates. We couldn't pierce anyone. So they were running around. So yeah, with the tanks they had 38 tech piercing. So I just forgot to put them in there. So that happens, right? So I killed half of them and I made them twice as bad.
Yeah, but I mean, that happens on the Eastern Front. It's a lot going on, and it's easy to miss that. I think you deserve your beer now. And I think Magnus might have a question here also.
Yeah, shoot.
Yeah, but if I can ask you, because you still had these mobile divisions quite late in the game.
Yeah.
If you could start the game over right now, would you still go for the garrison part of your build? And the
No, I mean the whole idea with the build was to have the tanks always surviving to be able to counterattack constantly. The second we lost all the tanks, we were dead in the water. Instead of garrison, yes, to get a little bit of breakthrough, so you can attack more broadly. But I mean, yeah.
because
I think I didn't play this build to the capacity of the build. Like I did some big fuck ups.
you do, but it feels like you had the axis shook when you went for some aggressive attacks.
Yeah, yeah. When they pushed far in and made some like in the center north, they made some like big pushes, and we sort of like counterattack everywhere. And that's where we really got some nice rounds as well. So if we would have regular infantry, that would have worked much better. But then again, we kind of had, because most of the starting divisions were dead. So it was the regular infantry, most of it. So yeah, I don't know.
We
But
had our work cut out for us just keeping up with Soviet division losses.
so, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Magnus' audio is quite in and out in this situation. I think you put up a valiant fight on the Eastern Front. I want to congratulate you to that. Too bad that that you lost this game, but thank you so much for this. I want to move over to the Pacific side of things, and Xnistan, who was playing the US.
Hello.
Hello, so good to see you. And so good to hear you. You put up a good fight in the Pacific against the Asia Axis. It felt like you had them on the ropes somewhat.
Yeah, I felt we had the upper hand when it was time to leave and go to Europe. So we basically, yeah, we couldn't finish it off. I was very worried when I saw Ivan building super heavies, because my entire build was focused on him building carriers. But turns out regular heavy ships can still work. And torpedo destroyers can still work against super heavies. So we had a few engagements. They're very hard to sink. I only sunk one, I think, but I put down a lot on low strength, so it was out of commission a lot of the time, I think. So we had a few good engagements. The Holland player did great holding out, and then he had the most kills of all the allies on the Japanese.
Oh,
so, I mean, a great job from the Holland, Brazil, India, Australia. We had very good cooperation, I would say, for the allies in Asia. Maybe we stayed too long. Maybe we should have shifted focus to Europe earlier, but we didn't think it would go that fast. So we said from the beginning it would be a 43D day, but it was too late.
Yeah,
because we should have revised the plan. We should have lend-leased more. We should have pivoted to Europe earlier. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So you kind of touched on my next question. Did you realize how dire the situation was for the Soviet Union going into mid 42 and the end of 43? But I think you still did a great showing in the Pacific, and you also went up against some really good players on the Asia axis. Thank you so much for taking some time to talk with us and talk with the audience. I want to move over to stationary on Japan. Hello. We knew your plans beforehand. How do you feel that those plans played out?
Well, I have to give it up to the Holland of the fantastic defense of Batavia. I think that's one of the greatest plays I saw this match. We really couldn't break him at Batavia. His paratrooper special forces were really strong. I mean, I had a pretty poor game, I'll be honest. Like, the plan was to sweep Australia and Dutch East Indies. I managed to do neither. There was a pretty funny moment in Australia where like my Marines are there and I didn't manage to get the port.
Yep.
But I
saw that.
land with some other guys to give them a floating harbor, to give them supply, and was trying to build up a port in time, but they managed to kick it out.
But we said that in the studio that all of the Asia axis were such good team players towards the Euro axis because you pulled back your fleet to guard the home islands. You didn't give you did give ground, but you didn't give ground fast. So you kept a lot of the allied forces in the Pacific that could have been needed for D-Day. So really good showing there on a general axis gameplay cooperation, we have to say.
Yeah, for sure. I have to give it up to the Canadian tanks as well. They were giving us hell on the Raj front.
Yep.
And of course, it was a very fun naval duel between me and Xnistan. We both had several engagements with each other. I think it turned out pretty even, our battles.
Yep.
There was one battle where I was about to sink him here near the end, but he, of course, managed to get away.
Yeah, but a good showing from the Asia Axis players. And another player who had a good showing and was a good team player, I have to say, is Italy, Italian player. You did a really good play in North Africa, holding for a bit, stalling for a bit, and then when you saw this is untenable, going back to mainland Europe and being a team player here. Did your plans pan out as you planned it, or how do you feel about the game?
Yeah. Exactly as you described it. I also did the land lease quite the amount to Japan for the China War, and then game ended pretty fast, so I didn't get to really use my fleet, which was ready, and we didn't get to fight in Italy. But overall, did what I could, did my part.
Yep. Overall, I mean, you guys won. You kept all of Italian mainland. You didn't get naval invaded. So I mean, you've done a good showing for yourself, and we had some engagement between your navy and Ian's navy, and you fared quite well against each other. It was very even battles, I have to say.
Yeah, and especially if you take into account that was under red air, so I was avoiding all the battles until I can get some German air force in the med. But in overall, I must say all of Axis players really good team play. We were land leasing each other. As you saw, there were German tanks in Africa for a long time, so they couldn't push us out. It was just excellent team play. Excellent.
Yeah, you seem to have really good communication and really good team play. So thank you so much for dropping by the studio and talking to us and talking to the audience. I also want to go over to someone we wanted to talk with before the lunch, but who is here now, and that is, of course, Remmefors, who played France. We have to say, you played well, acquitted yourself well.
It went okay, I'd say. I was hoping to hold longer. Far, so I capitulated with a lot of troops left.
Okay, so that is what happened. We were wondering about that in the stream, but okay, that is a fair point to do. Do you feel that you had the game impact and the planning impact that you set out to have as France?
No, I wish I did more things. And I was too cautious in Africa, I feel like. I'm always too cautious. I don't want to lose anything.
Maybe you should take the inspiration from the Eastern Front that men doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, definitely.
But I also have to say this, to having you here to talk to you, we have to say thank you so much for the time you devote to this mod, to keeping it updated, to making sure that we actually can have this game. It means a lot for us and for the community watching. So a big thank you there, Remmefors.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, and I want to check in with Ian, who I also know is here as the UK. We chatted a bit before lunch. You were hoping for or pushing for a 43 D-Day. Didn't really happen. How do you feel that the game came together for the UK in your plans versus what actually happened?
It went fine. We were like a little behind schedule, basically on everything, but we launched in 43.
Yep.
We were
Yeah,
trying
you
in
did.
we were trying in 43. Right? We did all everything I set out to do, right? Like we held out Alamein. We launched it. We tried in 43.
Yep.
I most certainly won the air war. At least when we were fighting. We didn't really lose. We didn't really lose very much. And then by the end of the game, I think the Italian Navy, it would basically it had a good fleet in the process of being built, but otherwise it was a little neutered. I don't think with the boats that I had in the Med, it was possible for them to get supremacy. I probably will go check that out of curiosity, but I don't think they could have ever launched. So things went okay. I wish we had moved more faster, because we knew in the middle of like 42, like before they took Moscow, it was like, oh god, they're at Moscow. And it was like, things need to get moving. And it's like, don't look at Soviets. Like, no, we gotta move, guys. So it went okay.
Yeah, I think you all acquitted to a great show. Whether you played Axis or Allies, you gave us a very entertaining game with a lot happening. And you will get some time to rewatch the stream and see what happened in it. I also really good showing from all of you, and I want to thank all of you for coming in here, giving some final thoughts to your plans, having a chat with us. I'm gonna let you get back to the other channels and just talk through the game there, and we're gonna finish up the stream. But thank you so much, guys, for a very entertaining game, and GG, well played, guys.
You're welcome.
Thank you, guys.
So, could we, since we've ended the game quite early, do a bit of post-game analysis
We
before
could.
before we wrap up? I'd love to hear Andreas' thoughts, who's had more of a close view on the Pacific. But, I mean, after hearing these interviews, it seems like a lot of people are not that happy, and I think most people should be more happy with what they've accomplished, because this is one of the most controlled games I've seen in this community, and in the sense that we don't have that many harebrained schemes. We know very few people like throwing half their army away, looking away and losing a big naval battle. Very controlled game, very disciplined. And I think that what it comes down to is that the Euro-Axis were a bit more disciplined, or the Axis as a whole. I mean, I think Ivan should be more pleased with himself.
Yeah, he should be a lot more pleased with himself.
The Asia Axis has done precisely what you need from them. Like, tie up resources, contest, be aggressive where you can, keep up the defense where you can. You pulled in so many resources. I mean, basically all of US resources, apart from that Hail Mary D-Day. Or D-Day is attempt at a naval invasion in northern France with a few American Marines that didn't amount to pretty much anything. Pulling in all those resources in Burma, I think, as I said before, I think this comes down to three things. The Allies sinking too much time and too much attention into North Africa, too much attention and too much time into Burma, and Germany prioritizing tanks.
And I think Xnistan, as the US player, he was touching upon that and actually said that maybe we stayed for too long. But that is also up to the play from Siam, from Ashuko, from Stationary and Adam on Japan. on binding those troops there, binding all that equipment that could have been used for D-Day that Badger and the Soviets so desperately needed.
And the same thing with Ugis on Italy. I mean, I think we managed to say this during the kind of slog in North Africa. That it's not catastrophic if you don't take Egypt, as long as you can test North Africa, you pull out, you don't lose too much resources, too much manpower, and you tie up the allies while the rest of the team get a chance to really get a good attack in on the Soviets. And even, I mean, because no one is... Xnistan looked devastated.
Yeah, he did.
The US player in our chat here. I don't think he should be devastated. They played a competent game. It's just a bit bad timing, and yes, they should have focused on Europe earlier. But this was the game was fast. It was shorter than we're used to.
Yeah, but also you have this, Xnistan looked devastated. He shouldn't look devastated, because when Stationary and Adam decides to go for the late war, there's nothing Xnistan can do except for if a sea lion happens, and that would have been even more devastating for the Allies. So he shouldn't look that disappointed. Neither should Ivan as Stationary. He should not be that disappointed.
I mean, there is a thing that US could have done. We talked about it. They could have gone very much more, Europe first, but that means handing away a lot of resources and islands in the Pacific, things that, it's a sizable loss, not just in resources, in maybe accepting that Japan can cap Australia.
And Rosh.
And you have the buffs of the Japanese taking islands in the Pacific. Which, that could have tilted Europe as well. So it's just tough to accept that you lose when you play a decent game. And most people here, I think everyone played a decent game.
Yeah.
The other thing that really is a turning point is the point I wanted to make on the Germans really going down, because they didn't prioritize air very heavily. They didn't prioritize navy. They didn't prioritize good infantry. A lot of garrisons. And they could have used some more garrisons on the Eastern Front. But they went hard into the German tanks. The German tanks did the job. And that's where the Soviet build, I think, really collapsed. I think even with a bit more AT in it, still would have lost a lot of divisions early on.
Yeah, but you could probably have prolonged it up until 44. But then again, we also, Badger touched on something that is so significant for the Eastern Front. I looked away and we lost the Northern Army. I mean, I've done that. You've done that.
More than once.
Yeah, more than once. So it's easy that, we're pulling out. Did I communicate this to... No, I didn't. I left Petey here. It's the small details that get catastrophic consequences.
And it's easy to say for us in the studio, because we said a couple of times, they should do this, they should do that. Easy to say while we're sitting here with a full cup of coffee, full stomach, not really stressed out. Our technician even fell asleep on the couch for a bit, so relaxing here in the studio. It's not as relaxing when you're sitting there as a Soviet player.
No, and especially as we see both front lines. We know what is happening. We know what the Germans have. We know what the Soviets have, and we don't have to click and micro and try to see and fix all that. But that is a significant play. But I also want to have this. We have some comments here before I'm gonna let Andreas come in here. We have Clintbet, the Brazilian player. Thanks for a good game, guys. We have Badgers come in with great commentary. I don't know how they know that, because they haven't been watching the stream, but thank you, guys. We also have Mattias Schultz. Studio's great today. Well done, guys. And all of this, as you've seen here, we are just one sitting and talking together with Andreas. It's actually Lucas who has made this possible. But before I thank him even more, I want to have the commentary from Andreas. What are your final takeaways from this game?
Well, certainly this game was not won in the air, unfortunately. So the air game was perhaps the first frontier that was kind of a little bit boring, a little bit lacking. People just stuck to their own sort of sides. And it also falls because there wasn't that much of a moving front line, actually. So I have been mostly watching the Pacific and talking to you guys about the Pacific during this game, but I also been checking through all the other screens where nothing is happening, and that has been too many parts of the world map. So what we said before is very much true. Allies got bogged down in sort of meaningless fronts a bunch of time. I think when the Allies managed to boot out Japan from Australia, from then on, essentially the United States with their fleet could have kept the status quo. They could have just kept Japan from advancing, and at that point, most of the Allied miners could have started gathering around in Africa or in the UK and started poking at Germany, but it didn't. Instead, they hung out at Sumatra and kept trying to push some very, very expensive jungle tiles for a long time. And I think that is where the match was lost for the Allies. They kept essentially winning Pyrrhic victories in the Pacific, and they did not move the front to where it would have been useful for them. And this is important. So some of you guys who watched this game, you were also here the last game when you got to watch me drop some glorious paratroops. But in that case, you also saw us engage in Finland. The Allies invaded Finland from north. We invaded Italy from south. We did torches here and there. We did a bunch of things that were just poking at Germany. And this game, we didn't really poke Germany. We didn't poke, or they didn't poke Germany almost anywhere. And so Germany had a free run on the Eastern Front. And this is important not just for what kind of troops they can concentrate there, but also for the amount of attention they can place there. They had a free run of so Germany was the strong tank builder this game, and they are also the country that generally needs to defend a lot of Europe. So if you can distract the strong tank player from the Eastern Front, you can also save it from like these very dangerous encirclements and micros. And this is something that the Allies failed to do. And I think that is also the major failure of this game, unfortunately, and the determinant of this game. Back to you guys.
Thank you so much, Andreas, for those inputs. We are here with kittens again. I've named this one Falkenhigh because they don't have names. But I think we smashed the cat record on cam. So I'm sending this back to Petey and okay, I'm putting you down now. Yeah, we're sending this back to Victor and Petey. It's up to you to bring more cats into the studio. But this has been a terrific game, and you might have seen the short videos that we had. Some of them haven't aired yet because Italy never capped, or the Axis didn't cap. So we're gonna take a little look at the Italian video that wasn't aired, and then we're gonna come back here for some finishing words from the studio. Yeah, and every other video you did see, and now you've seen two videos with our technician Lucas. He has capitulated in both of these videos, but someone has to do that. It's an important role to play. But
might also be why he's not playing.
Yeah, but, I mean, surrendering, it's always that. But now you have a feel for Lucas as well. And also, yeah, the cats are everywhere. Unfortunately, I didn't get the thing I actually wanted from the cats. I wanted someone to climb up on the green screen behind us and not comment that at all. But you can't get it all. Firstly, I have to say a big thank you to Andreas for being one of our co-experts today. You've done an amazing game. I don't think we have ever had this kind of coverage for the Spanish Civil War. But I want to throw a question to you here. What is your major takeaway from this game?
Well, apparently it works to start a land war in Russia.
That's a good takeaway. That's a good takeaway, and you don't have to come from these. I also want to say to my magnificent co-host and also our host for this studio today, Magnus, it's always a pleasure to cast together with you. And thank you for opening up your house to us and to all of this lovely people who have been in chat and hanging with us for these hours.
I mean, ditto. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you guys for doing this. But thanks, chat. It's so much more fun doing this because when I started this, we had, I mean, an active chat, but it's just gotten better over the years. And I love how Petey and Victor include you guys, and it's just so much fun when we're sitting here. Today it was a short cast.
It was a short
yeah.
cast.
We've just been sitting here for about 6 hours, 8 hours.
Yeah, right now we're coming up to 7.5.
Yeah, and you know you get a bit tired after a while, but it gets so much energy just having you guys in the chat, being able to kind of like bounce off of you. You help us when there are things about the game we don't know. Thank you, Jakob, for example.
Or when something goes down.
Yeah. And I hope that we've given you a sense of how it is to play one of these games. It's so much fun and it's so stressful, and you can see on our players that you don't want to lose, and I love that about this community. It's friendly, but everyone hates losing.
Yeah, it's friendly, but you still want to win.
Yeah,
bragging rights. And we have to say this: if you're interested to see if you could have done this better or the build they've had, Hygge Gaming on Patreon. Sign up for a 7-day free trial membership. You will get access to the multiplayer saves, a lot of guides, and a lot of good content in there. So please check it out. It doesn't cost you a thing. You're a member for 7 days, and you get access to pretty much everything, which is great. And
if, like me, you're not, you know, a top tier player, but you like the game, you enjoy playing it, it helps a lot just with the guides these guys are putting out. I mean, Badger and Boppus have some great guides over at the YouTube channel. So if you feel that, I wanted a game that lasted up until 8 o'clock, don't you worry. There's a lot of guides that you can look through for free on YouTube just to become a better player. But before I end this stream, I just have to give the biggest of shout outs to Lucas, our studio technician. When he comes in, you feel in such good hands, you're in safe hands, and you don't really have to communicate with him because he knows what's needed to be done before we know that we want it. And I think I just want to give the biggest shout out to Lucas. Without him, we wouldn't be in this lovely studio. We wouldn't have this lovely things happening. So closing words. The World War ended in 1943.
Yep.
A resounding success for the Axis. The world is now in darkness, and we will be seeing you guys on the next Grand Game.
Yeah, on the next Grand Game. Maybe we're sitting here, or maybe we're playing. But wherever you are, whatever time it is, have a lovely, lovely Sunday, and we catch you on the next one. Take care, guys. Ciao.
Helvetti. Ryssä. Perkele. Joo. 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 Kyllä. Kyllä.